We live? Seems like we are live. All right, fantastic. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Welcome back to the coverage. Yeah, apologies. I'm just starting the stream ever so slightly late. I had something stuck in my stuck in like the back of my mouth, between my teeth, and it was I was not going to start a 2-hour stream with this thing in the back of my mouth, so just took a little bit of time to get that out, but no, we're underway, and yeah, we're about 56 minutes away from the start of the race, which is good to see. And yeah, the forecast is still a little bit up in the air. I mean, you know, some weather outlets are predicting a 20% chance of rain, something along those lines, so we'll just sort of have to wait and see really what the weather is going to do. But yeah, it does seem like there is a pretty decent chance of rain, so I reckon if we all do a rain dance, then we'll have a good shot of some rain arriving soon enough. But yeah, welcome everyone to the stream, and hope you're all doing all right. Yeah. Okay. So the official, FIA prediction, at least according to their weather radar, is 20% or 30%, and then you've got and then, yeah, if you check like the BBC News, then it'll say something slightly different. Check AccuWeather, it'll say something slightly different. So let's have a look. BBC News currently is reporting 21% chance of rain right now, and then 29% chance of rain when the race is going to start, and then 55% chance of rain during the race, during the final third of the race or so. So that's what the BBC Weather website is saying. If I check AccuWeather, then that will be telling me... What's it saying? It's saying 51% chance of rain right now, 44 within the next hour, and then 34 as it goes on. So BBC is saying that the chance of rain is going up. Then you've got AccuWeather saying the chance of rain is currently very high and it's going down. So yeah, what I can take from this is that nobody really knows if it's going to be raining or not. And I guess we'll find out. We'll get the broadcast starting soon enough of what's actually going on at the circuit, and then from that we'll able to be, well, if we can see the clouds, it should be pretty obvious to work out how soon this rain is going to arrive. F1 Gamer podium predictions. Well, look, if history is anything to go by, since we have started racing here in Zandvoort back after 2021 and such, every single driver that's gone on to win the race has started on pole position. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Pole position is where everyone's won the race from. So it was Oscar Piastri that did it last year. We've had a big mix of drivers that have won throughout the recent years here in Zandvoort, but it has always been the driver that's on pole position. So we'll see if Lando can do it, if he can hold on, but I think the Mercedes have got some really, really good race pace. And as we saw yesterday, in fact, from the sprint race, we saw that Lando Norris's tyres were degrading quite heavily, actually, and his performance wasn't really where it needed to be as the stint wore onwards, and the tyre wear got heavier and heavier. We saw Charles Leclerc manage to make a move on the inside. So that will be another thing to consider, right, to see if the McLarens will show similar signs of what they did yesterday, or whether they will have made some setup changes to minimize the tire wear or to minimize the overheating, because it wasn't really tire wear per se for Lando Norris, it was more so overheating for him. He came over the radio saying that he hasn't got any grip, and then of course he had to back off a little bit, let his tires cool down, and then he could go again. And once his tires had cooled down a little bit, it was better, and he was able to sort of hang on for a little bit longer. And then inevitably Charles Leclerc did come steaming past with a set of soft tyres, might I add, as well. So some very good tyre management there from Charles Leclerc, being able to continue on with those softs for the duration of the sprint race. And I will pull up the the tyre strategy information, so let's have a look at this. These are the recommended strategies by Pirelli. However, it says that there is options for 2 stops, but I feel like they've just been forced to put these options for 2 stops in by some external source, because a 2-stop is not really an optimal strategy around here in Zandvoort. We saw how difficult it was to overtake yesterday, and the 1-stop is most certainly the way to go. Now, if you can get a safety car, and if you can guarantee everyone else around you is also going to come into the pits, then a 2-stop also works. But yes, that is the only situation where a 2-stop really is going to work, if it is a safety car and everyone around you pits, because otherwise making your way through traffic is pretty difficult. So yeah, that's the sort of situation there. The drivers will start on the medium tyres. They'll go to around lap 30 or so, which is more than the laps that they completed in the sprint race. So that is, more than possible to do. Charles Leclerc did 24 laps on soft, so the medium tyres, no problems there for them. And then you bolt on a set of hards from lap number 30 to lap 72 at the end of the race. So similar thing, if you start on the softs, you'll just pit ever so slightly earlier. But yeah, we haven't really got a huge amount of tyre degradation here in Zandvoort. It's a very similar sort of style of circuit to what we have in Budapest, but in Budapest notably the temperatures are far hotter. Instead of 30 degrees track temperature, we have track temperatures up in the high 50s, mid 50s. So that's one of the primary reasons why we could see 2 stops in Hungary, but then only 1 stops here in Zandvoort in the Netherlands. Yeah. Okay. Chances of rain are slim. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Well, I don't actually know. I will. You know what? I'll just wait till the broadcast starts on Service TV or SRF, which is in about 10 minutes time, and then I'll get some actual shots of the circuit, and then I'll be able to let you know. Yeah. In fact, there was a live stream that I was watching yesterday. It was like Zandvoort train station live stream. Oh no, it's live right now actually. Let's have a look at what the clouds are saying in Zandvoort. It does look quite cloudy, but actually yes. So the current forecast in Zandvoort seems to be relatively high chance of rain. And just looking at the clouds here, so there's a live stream, there's like a traffic camera or something that is at the entry point to the circuit, so where all the cars and the cyclists come through, and yeah, the clouds are rather dark and grey. So my personal forecast is that there's going to be rain, but that's what it is. Can you show us the upgrades the teams brought this weekend? Yeah, the teams brought quite a few upgrades actually. I could quickly flick through the document. There's not a... Am I actually going to be able to find it? It's quite a big list actually. Let's see. Yeah, we'll quickly go for it. Give me a sec. Yeah, so this is the upgrade list document. And we've got some upgrades here for McLaren. You can see that they have got some changes to their rear wing. This was an interesting rear wing upgrade. They've actually got some like ridges added into the rear wing sort of pylon or that's, yeah, I don't know the right word for it, but the vertical element that holds the rear wing up, that has got some ridges on it, which is interesting because typically they've always been very, very smooth. This sort of section here on the side of the car that goes up like that. You've got Mercedes with just some front brake changes, Red Bull with a similar thing. You've then got Ferrari with 5 upgrade packages here, mainly aimed at the floor and the diffuser here at the back of the car. You've got Williams with nothing, Racing Bulls with nothing, Aston Martin with 5 more upgrades, some of them focused on the front wing and then the rest of them focused on the floor and the diffuser. So front wing elements here, and then also the diffuser at the rear of the car over here. Nothing for Haas, nothing for Audi. Alpine have got a big upgrade here, 8 different things that they've changed, so yeah, pretty much circled all of the car. That's for Alpine. Cadillac, no updates for them, and that is the list of upgrades for the cars this weekend. I have got a few more graphics actually that I will pop up onto the screen and to give you a bit more insight about these upgrades that have been coming through. Let's see if I can find the correct image. Or maybe I didn't save it. Oh yeah, this is the one. So this image here is the gap from each team's gap to pole position. So how the cars were sort of progressing throughout the season and how big which team has been getting faster, which team has been getting slower. So you can sort of see from the Aston Martin, the green colour there on the left, that you can see on average the Aston Martin was getting slower and slower until they arrived at Hungary, at which point they leapfrogged Cadillac and the Williams team, and that's shown by that steep decline there. And then Williams is actually heading upwards, and so is Cadillac. So their rate of development is not the same level of development rate that you've got going on at the teams at the top of the field, the Mercedes, the McLarens, the Ferraris, and you can sort of see there that McLaren and Ferrari were getting very close in towards round number 7, in towards round number 5. They were close, but then Mercedes continued to bring upgrade packages, and then Ferrari and McLaren would fall backwards. But now it seems like the McLaren upgrade packages have really worked out nicely, and they're doing pretty well. This is, what other graphics we got? Yes, the qualifying head-to-heads here for the drivers. So you've got. This is during the sprint quali, actually. This is during actual qualifying. So you've got Sainz beating Albon 9 out of 10 times, yeah. During qualifying, you've got Verstappen there beating Hadjar 8 out of 10 times, Alonso beating Stroll 8 out of 10 times. But you go to the bottom of that graphic and you can see that it's very equal there between Nico Hülkenberg, Gabriel Bortoleto, and same for the Ferrari drivers, same for Racing Bulls, same for Cadillac as well. One thing that I did find interesting, here you can see that Norris and Piastri, there was 7-4 between them. And the other thing, though, if you switch over to the sprint qualifying, so these are just the sprint qualies, so when the teams only have one practice session and then they go immediately into qualifying, and interestingly enough, Norris would beat Piastri every single time in sprint quali, and that's something that we saw yesterday, that's something that we saw on Friday as well. Norris again beating Oscar Piastri in a sprint quali, and it's interesting there. So it sort of seems to suggest that when you have less time available for practice, Norris is more consistently beating Piastri. You've got Verstappen more consistently beating Hadjar and things like that. Just a bit of an interesting insight there, because of course it is slightly different when you have three sessions of practice. You can really dial the setup into exactly what you'd like, whereas with one session you've sort of got to just drive what you're given. So. Yes, the stat does not increase. The stats don't include this weekend, so they're just back up until the Hungarian Grand Prix. Yeah, is the 2 stops possible? It is possible, but it's still like unless the situation arises where you've got a nice tight period for a safety car or something like that, it's not really going to happen. And this is the race head-to-head, so you can see that Alonso's got the best record against Stroll, Verstappen's got the best record against Hadjar, and then you look at the bottom, you've got Norris and Piastri 5 versus 5, where they're equal during race performances, but of course with the McLarens, you've got to sort of take into account the fact that they've had some pretty bad reliability issues for both of them, and they're not the most representative things in the world. Okay, I think that's... Oh yeah, this is the other thing. Drivers' average pit stop. So it's interesting here. What you can see is that you've got George Russell, on average, with the quickest pit stop time for the first half of the season. Now, there are a couple of factors that play into this, of course. So if you break your front wing or you've got some sort of damage, which the team has to repair, that will increase your pit stop time, and then that will skew your average, of course, a lot higher. But other factors that can play into it are also how correctly you stop in your box. So if you stop 20 centimeters too far forward, that's going to add a split second worth of time for all your mechanics to shift over and get aligned up to the car. And if you stop a little bit too early, then that will also add time on. So it seems like George Russell has been staying out of trouble firstly, but then also has been very precise in stopping at his box, and that's why you see the big difference there between Russell and Antonelli. You've got nearly a 1 second difference in average pit stop time. But yeah, staying out of trouble, and then also being able to stop his car properly. Is it raining now in Zandvoort? Let's have a look. Oh, it is raining, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go, folks. It is raining. Okay, confirmed. So we've got weather on. Well, yeah. I can show you the strategy for today's race, but I don't know how relevant it's going to be now that the rain has arrived. So there you go. It's an 18-second pit stop here, folks. 18 seconds. And you lose what is it? Yeah, you'll lose 9 seconds if you come in during a safety car or virtual safety car, 18 seconds during normal green flag conditions, and then and then you've got your race pace here with Mercedes being the quickest on paper, then Ferrari, and then the McLarens. McLarens are not so great in race conditions, as we saw in the sprint race. Ferrari a little bit better, and that's why you can see that they're above them in the data. But of course, in qualifying they were behind. So that might we'll see if that plays out over the course of 72 laps. We'll see how the drivers deal with the rain. But it is currently raining right now in Zandvoort. We are 41 minutes away from the start of the race, and it's raining. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Okay. Ideal tyre strategy is probably the intermediate tyres. You don't really want to be out on the slicks if it's raining. So also we should be able to get the data coming through. All right, fantastic. So this is the live data for the race. Yes, brilliant. Fantastic. Also, folks, if you are enjoying the coverage, be sure to hit that like button. Would very, very much be appreciated. It does help out the channel tremendously. Okie dokes. I have lost my earphones. Give me a sec. All right, fantastic. Found them, and let's get underway then. Okie dokes. I shall pop up some what's it called? Some extra information up on the screen for the people that are just tuning in, but it seems like we have got 18 second pit stop loss. We've got also drivers just coming out onto the circuit now for their reconnaissance laps, so I'll just confirm what tyres they are on. Yeah, give me a sec. They'll probably come out on intermediates just to be safe, to be honest. You don't really want to be taking that risk if you're out on slicks and it's actually raining, but we have got confirmed low grip conditions here because, well, it's raining. Unfortunately, they don't give us the tyre information on the what's it called, on the reconnaissance laps, so it's not actually up on the screen, but I'll tell you once. Oh yeah, the drivers are out on intermediate tyres, so there you go. Fantastic. Right. All right. So, yes, carnage. The last time we had rain in Zandvoort was 2023, and we had a huge number of overtakes in the Dutch Grand Prix that year. So let me just have a... I do remember... Let me get the stat. I think it was 100 plus overtakes. Oh yes, the 2023 Dutch Grand Prix had a record number of overtakes. It was a new record for Formula 1, 175 overtakes on the circuit. So this was not including pit stops or anything like that. It was very much due to the varying weather conditions where you'd see the clouds, you'd get a little bit of drops of rain, people would come in for intermediate tyres, and then it would stay dry and they'd switch back to the slicks. It was very, very confusing. But yes, 175 overtakes happened, or 180 or something like that, in the Dutch Grand Prix in 2023 when it was raining. So should be great. Right. Yeah, so we'll see what they... Well, yeah, some teams may not have a wet setup, right? Because yesterday it did seem like it was going to be relatively dry. So now that will also affect things. You know, if a car is set up slightly more for wet conditions, then they're going to benefit tremendously. If it obviously continues to rain as well, that is another question that's up in the air. if it is raining, how heavy will the rain be? How long will it last? So some more things there. Right. Yeah, we've got 72% humidity, if that means anything to anyone. I don't actually know what I mean, I know what humidity is, but I don't know how it affects the rain. Yeah. All right, what else have we got going on? No overtakes when it's dry, but a lot of overtakes when it's wet. The drivers will make so many mistakes. Very interesting. It will, because I'll take you around a lap of the circuit actually, and yeah, the thing is that the drivers just don't have much margin for error. So let's skip forward, right? So you're starting your flying lap over here, and the track relatively wide going down the start-finish straight. You've got the drivers here on their left-hand side. So this is the odd numbers on the starting grid. They'll be on the left-hand side. They'll have the clean line, especially they'll have the dry line as well. So that'll be one thing to consider. But in towards turn number one, you very much look at that on the left hand side, just plain white line and then a gravel trap. So any mistake will get punished severely, and that's how we're going to have drivers making mistakes and then overtakes and such. So then you go up over the crest through turns number 2 and 3, then back downhill as you go. Well, you go very, very wide through turn number 3, especially when it's raining, because the rain sort of pulls into the inside. That's another thing, because you can see here from the video that the track very much is cambered. So towards the lower side of the camber, you've got a lot of water building up, especially towards the curbs. So that'll be another thing that the drivers are doing now during the reconnaissance laps. They'll be testing each bit of the curbs. They'll look at how much spray is going away. They can also themselves feel how much grip there is there. So we're trying to work out which curbs are best to stay away from, which curbs are best to drive over, and yeah, so we'll sort of see how that goes. But you continue on making your way through the lap. You can see very narrow, not much runoff whatsoever, if any to speak of, to be honest. And you make your way around the final corner here. Again, the banking, you'll want to drift it out high because all of the water will be pooling on the inside. And that's a lap of Zandvoort. I unfortunately don't have a lap recorded in wet conditions as far as I remember. Let me have a look. Yeah, unfortunately I don't, folks. So apologies for that, but yeah. Okay. F1 Gamer, now that it's raining, things are seeming unpredictable. What are your gut feelings for the drivers who will perform around this very technical circuit under these conditions? Well, it's typically just the drivers that are good in wet conditions, right? So, your Max Verstappen, your Lewis Hamilton. I also suspect Lando Norris to do pretty well around here. Who else? Fernando Alonso, no doubt. But it'll also be interesting to see how these cars perform in these wet conditions, because we know we've had a lot of these conversations where, we've said that, the driver had deployment issues during qualifying because they came off the throttle at the wrong time. The car thought it was meant to recharge or something, and they weren't getting battery deploying down the straight. So in wet conditions, drivers can have snaps, they can have wheel spin, and for whatever reason, they'll have to come off the throttle at an unexpected location. So it'll be very interesting to see who has deployment problems, who doesn't, whose software is sort of coded around the worst case scenario or other, out of the initial test case scenarios. Because, for example, let's say you're going through turn number 9, and because you've you're again going to be braking through turn number 10, you're not even going to touch 100% throttle, so you're only going to go to about 50%. So what is the battery system going to interpret on the exit at turn number 10? Is it going to be a straight? Is it going to be another corner? Does it know? So that'll be another thing. I feel like we're going to have a lot of sort of friction between the drivers and then their energy deployment systems when the rains arrives, because, I just don't think they're all that sophisticated with the amount of complaints that we've been getting from the drivers. I honestly do wish that they just had a dial on their steering wheel, that they could just go from mode 1, 2, 3 to deploy and mode -1, -2, -3 to recharge, and it would make so much more sense that way, and it'd be so much more convenient for us to understand. But no, yeah, we haven't got that. Forgot the rain goal. Stroll, yeah, Stroll might be doing pulling off some incredible moves. We know back in Istanbul 2020 he pulled off an absolute miracle and got pole position. So we'll see how he fares this week in the rain here. But yeah. Okay, but yes, the Ferraris. The track is actually quite damp, but the thing is, there's still another 30 minutes, so it doesn't seem like there's going to be much sort of sunshine or anything along those lines to be actually drying out the circuit. But we'll see what the drainage is like, because there are sort of minimum requirements from a FIA safety standpoint that there has to be XYZ amount of drains in all of these other locations to make sure we don't get rivers and pooling and this, that, and the other. And for that reason, the track does tend to dry out very, very fast as well. So it does have to continue raining, and we have to have, well, no sunshine coming out as well. But, let's see. F1 Gamer, do you think McLaren right now are a serious contender for the championship? No, I think they're still a little bit too further away. I assume you're talking about the Drivers' Championship, right? Let's pull up the standings, and you can sort of see there that Lando Norris is almost 90 points behind from Kimi Antonelli, and I just don't think that Mercedes are going to be that slow. They may have reliability problems come their way. However, you've got to consider that both McLaren will also have a Mercedes power unit, and so will Mercedes, right? So if there are reliability issues for the Mercedes team, it's quite likely that they'll also hit the McLaren team as well, which they have encountered for the first half of the season quite a lot. So yeah, I don't really see McLaren competing for the championship this year. However, the rate of progress that they have got is frankly astounding, and I do think that 2027 they'll be in with a really good shot if, of course, their development goes to plan over the winter. Yeah. Okay. Are they doing practice starts or what now? No, all of the drivers, have lined themselves up on the grid, so they'll be waiting around there. They'll have the national anthem ceremony and all that stuff, and then they'll hop back in the cars, and then we'll have the formation lap in 30 minutes. Right. So let's see. 29 minutes till we get underway, folks. What are your thoughts? What are your predictions? Another thing that I would like to do is, while we've got some time here, I would like to go through some of the qualifying stuff from yesterday. So I'll quickly just like to compare Liam Lawson and Max Verstappen. They were, really, really quite close yesterday, and I haven't talked about Liam Lawson enough, but you can see there was about a tenth between Lawson and Verstappen, which I've got to say, for Lawson jumping into the Red Bull car, getting that close to Max, the driver that cannot be beaten, or the driver that has had an incredible record against his teammates just because he is so quick and so consistent. Really good going from Liam Lawson. And I would just like to look at this sort of key thing here. This is a similar thing to what we saw in sprint quali. So Lawson lost some time going through turns 1, 2 and 3, but then managed to recover it through turn number 3. So he's already making steps forwards by recovering the time. He was about a tenth down on Verstappen, but then by the time he makes it through sector 3, he's about on par. And then going through turns number 8, 9 and 10, through the middle sector, Lawson is actually up on Verstappen. And then again, like we saw in sprint quali, going through turns number 11, 12, he loses about, he's about half a tenth up, and then he's on the exit there 1/10 down. So he loses about 2/10 or so through turn number 11. But with the exception of that, that lap was almost on par with Max Verstappen, right? So that is some seriously good driving there by Liam Lawson. And if we just look at the the curb, the data from the suspension about how far up and down they were going, you can see that Lawson took a little bit too much curb going through turn number 2, which cost him a little bit of lap time, and then also took a little bit too much curb through turn number 1, which again cost him a little bit of lap time. So you can sort of see where that time started to go, and there's still very actionable things that Lawson can do to get close to Max Verstappen. And then the other thing was comparing Antonelli and George Russell, and what you can see here is you've got Antonelli here in the blue, and we'll change George Russell to like orange here, for example. So you can see very, very equal over the course of the circuit. You know, you've got Russell quicker in certain sections, Antonelli quicker in others. And the thing that I'd like to point out is for the majority of the lap, Russell was actually 0.2 up quite consistently on Kimi Antonelli. And then just in the final corner, so sort of turn number 13, he doesn't get a good enough exit. You know, he rolls onto the throttle a little bit later. You've got Antonelli at 70% throttle and Russell at 44% throttle. So not early enough on the power through the penultimate corner, and that's ultimately what cost him that 0.2 getting shrunk down to such a small margin. And you can see here Russell picking up quite a bit of curb there on the exit at turn 14 because his exit just wasn't that good. And then also missing the apex a little bit at turn number 13, where Antonelli actually hits the inside curb a lot more and Russell misses it a bit. So with those exceptions, Russell has, I think you can sort of say that Russell is firmly well within now beating Kimi Antonelli. He's done it now twice at the same circuit, and at least looking to the data here, if it wasn't for that mistake at turn number 13, then he would have been a nice 0.2 again up on Kimi Antonelli. But again, it's always if, but, and maybe, right? Like if Antonelli hadn't made this mistake through the first sector, where his minimum speed is 8 kilometers per hour lower than Russell's, then you would see that Antonelli would have been, he would have been a whole lot closer. So it's always a game of fine margins, Formula One, isn't it? Right, here we are back to the data. I shall pop this strategy up on the screen. There's no point spamming it in the chat, but yeah, it looks like it's going to be a wet race today anyway, so I don't think the standings, the strategy is going to be awfully important. Yeah, I shall pop it up though. Give me a sec. There you go. So it's mediums and then hards and then softs and then hards. That's the ideal strategy. The 3-stop is there, but currently looking at the circuit, right, like looking at the rain levels that we actually have there, it is what you can see is the track has still got a few dry lines there. So what we essentially need is more rain to arrive to confirm that the drivers will be on the intermediate tyres, as far as I can tell. There's still a little bit, borderline now between slicks and inters. So if more rain was to arrive, then it would definitely be inters. And if the rain was to stop and the clouds were to clear up, then we'd, of course, be back on slicks. Admittedly, slicks with damp conditions. So that, of course, will require different styles of racing. Typically, for example, when we were talking about Norris getting overtaken by Leclerc yesterday, we saw that, Norris left the sort of inside open and Leclerc took the inside and says, "Thank you very much, I'll make that overtake." And that was the bad strategy, right? To defend a position in towards turn 1. But when you've got a damp circuit and then a dry racing line, the optimal thing is always to force your opponent onto the damp section of the circuit. So even though, you've got a Ferrari steaming past you, if you put Leclerc on the inside line where it's damp, or you put whoever driver on the inside line where it's damp, their braking performance is going to be significantly worse. The chance of them locking up, the chance of them going deep into the corner are going to be much, much higher. And that's the way that you defend in these different conditions. So we'll see which drivers can, of course, cope and sort of adapt to the situation, and which drivers, of course, suffer a little bit more. But that's another thing about the best drivers, and the difference between the good and the great drivers is not only the fact that they can drive the car and, drive the car and not make many mistakes. It's the fact that they have this extra sort of mental capacity while they're still driving the car. We can see this from Charles Leclerc. I think must have been, on numerous occasions to be fair, but one occasion stands out to me. It must have been 2019 Singapore, sorry. And he was having these full-blown conversations on the radio while driving through the middle sector of Singapore, which is incredibly technical. And the extra mental capacity really stands out in wet conditions, because every single lap, the circuit is slightly different. And to be able to extract the maximum lap time, you've got to remember, there was a puddle at the apex of turn number 8, and now it's been 2 laps, so that puddle's probably drained away, and I'm going to go a little bit closer to the apex of turn number 8 so I can gain more lap time. And it's all of these different things that you've got to constantly be aware of and have the extra mental capacity to do. For example, Carlos Sainz, where in Singapore again, he was like, I'm intentionally keeping Lando Norris within my DRS to defend against the driver behind. And it's that extra mental capacity is what separates the good from the great, because those are the differences that you can make by actually being able to comprehend what's going on around you and stuff like that. So yeah. But I reckon if we all do a rain dance now, I reckon we're going to be able to make it rain a little bit heavier in Zandvoort. Okay, so F1 Gamer, if the rain stops, McLaren intermediate tyres start, masterclass incoming. Well, I don't know what McLaren are going to do, but I hope they don't stay out for flexibility. If they stay out on the well, yeah, we'll see what they do, right? It's also with the teams, right? You just have a bit more experience on the pit wall, the ability to perform under pressure, because in these scenarios, because they've done it before. So I suspect Mercedes will probably make better strategic decisions than McLaren. But yeah, who knows? Can it rain? Yes. Well, look, the rain's ticker has gone off, is switched to its off position again. So it's being a bit temperamental. It says sometimes yes, sometimes no, but it's the track is still damp, right? So let's see. Okay. 5,400 people tuned into the live stream. Much appreciated, folks. Hope you are all enjoying the coverage. Just a quick update. It is wet in Zandvoort right now. I cannot tell you if it's still raining or not. It's a little bit hard to tell from the camera shots, but it is. There's possibility of intermediate tyres being used. All right. Yeah, for the people that do want to watch the coverage for free, it's via Proton VPN using the link in the description. It's $1 a month. If you get it now, you'll be able to watch the Dutch Grand Prix, the Monza Grand Prix, and then also, Then you'll also be able to get to watch the Madrid race as well, and maybe also Baku. So yeah, four Grand Prix for the price of $1, not bad. And you can connect to an Austrian VPN, search Service TV Formula One, and you can watch the coverage there. So it's not too difficult to sort out. F1 Gamer, what's the hardest sector on the circuit? It would probably be the middle sector. Yeah, the sequence from turns number 8, 9, and 10, really quite tricky to do in changeable conditions, to be honest, yeah. What are the most possible starting sets? Well, we'll see. We'll get the tyre information coming through in about 14 minutes' time or so. We're in regards to which tyres the teams will be starting on. Wait, what's this Alonso? Alonso's GPS is... You're not allowed to be driving right now, so I don't know why Alonso's GPS is moving. It currently says that he's doing 60 kilometers per hour while just driving around. Okay, and then he's just stopped at the end of the pit lane. Interesting. Did I finish reading the book? No, I've still got it here actually. The Murray Walker book is quite an interesting book. I'd recommend actually, and I've also got the Ted Kravitz book here as well. But I'm currently reading the Murray Walker one. Hopefully my commentary is getting towards that level. Of Murray Walker, but we'll see. I definitely make quite a few mistakes like Murray Walker did, but yeah, let's see. All right. Race in 17 minutes. Oh, the other thing that I would like to point out is I was looking at the speed trap information during qualifying. So what I could see is the where the drivers were going at what speed, right? So you've got a speed camera here changing over from sector 2 to sector 3. You've got a speed camera at this finish line, and you've also got one between just this section over here where you've got this switch over from red to blue, the end of the first sector, and start the second sector. And what I saw is that the Aston Martins are again the slowest in all of the speed traps. So yeah, I mean, it's that they're in a straight section here, and again a bit of a straight section through turn number, because you are flat out through turns 4, 5, and 6. So yeah, essentially the Aston Martin upgrade package, they have brought an upgrade from Honda, but they were such a big deficit away from the Mercedes and the Ferraris of the current regulations that even with the upgrade package, they're still the slowest through the speed traps. Now, of course, it's partially down to also the aerodynamics. Right here in Zandvoort, they will have ramped the downforce all up to the maximum levels, but it's not just Aston Martin that's done that, it's also the other teams that have done that as well. So we'll see how that plays out, of course, but also extra downforce will benefit them in wet conditions like this, and who knows what Fernando Alonso can pull off if the rain does get heavy enough. The green dots are the overtake detection point. So if you're within 1 second of the driver ahead of you at that green dot there, just to the left of me at turn 13, then you'll get to activate your overtake mode at the following green dot just on the exit of turn 13. Yeah. Right. And the clouds, yeah, really, really quite grey now. So let's see if it rains. Okie dokes. The effect of the rain on all the corners is less grip. Traditional dry line is slower and the corners more slippery. Turn 7 will be the same, just slower. Yeah, so the other thing that I do want to say about this sort of dry line, wet line, and all of this stuff is what happens when it's normal dry conditions is that you get these tiny pieces of rubber coming off the tire, and they're essentially called tire marbles, right? These tiny little dots of rubber just dotted all over the place. And then what happens is a Formula 1 car drives over them and it compresses these tire marbles right into the asphalt, which makes it a super smooth and a super grippy surface. It's not super smooth, sorry, but it's very, very grippy. And what that does is in dry conditions, you've got the tire rubber touching the rubber that's already embedded in the asphalt, and you get loads of grip. But the issue is that in wet conditions, when it rains, you get this sort of like slick it's sort of like an oil slick. It's not an oil slick exactly, but you get this effect where, because you've got the asphalt and then this little layer of rubber that's sort of on top of it, and then you've got water on top of it, it becomes extremely slippery because it is quite smooth. Whereas with the asphalt, because you've got these sort of ridges up and down through all of these rocks, the water sort of embeds itself below, and you don't have this like slick layer on the top. So it's actually, the dry racing line is much, much slower in the wet conditions, and the drivers will purposely offset themselves. They'll go off to the left, off to the right, to find a patch of asphalt which hasn't got this rubber embedded into it, and that will provide them more grip. At some point, of course, they will have to cross over the dry racing line from the wet, and they'll have to go over to the other side. And when they do that, they'll have to just be very conscious that, it's going to be slippy, so let's roll off the throttle, let's make our steering input super smooth and things like that. Yeah. F1 Gamer, what does June's track mean? I've heard that to describe F1. I think June's track is probably just referring to the fact that there must have been sand dunes here before it was built. It's right next to a beach. Well, it's right next to the ocean, right? So I assume that's what it is. Yeah. Okay. Verstappen 110 point comeback incoming. Well, I mean, not only could be Verstappen, it could be a lot of other drivers that could pull that off. If Norris pulled off a 110 point comeback, then, well, he would win the championship. If Verstappen was to do that 110 points, then he would be 2 points shy of Kimi Antonelli. But yeah, the season is still quite long, and we've got races added back in the form of Malaysia as well. So let's see. F1 Gamer, so as the race progresses, the wet line is also going to get those time marbles and the grip reduces, or is the time period too small for that? That's actually a good point, but I think what happens is in wet conditions when it's raining, the tire marbles will come off the wet tires and the intermediate tires, and then they'll sort of just flow away with the water rather than actually getting squeezed into the asphalt. So yeah, I think that's what happens there. The tire marbles will just go down the drain essentially. All right. So I'll pop up the ideal tyre strategy, but we'll find out soon enough what tyres the teams are deciding to go out on. Yeah, it's your bog standard Zandvoort, one set of mediums, one set of hards. We could see that the softs for the drivers to start with, especially in these, when it's damp and when it's wet, the soft tyres will provide drastically more grip than the mediums, and for that reason, it might be worth it to take that risk. Start on the softs. You might be a little bit dodgy in terms of tyre wear, but the grip that you'll have in the damp conditions at the start, when it really does matter, and other drivers may be making mistakes, but because you've got the additional grip, you can sort of get away with it. I think that is quite valuable. So we may see an awful lot more soft tyres than we would have typically seen due to the rain that has fallen. Okay, let's have a look. What is the weather saying? Yeah, still seems like the rain has then paused again. It's not arrived anymore. So, well, yeah, I guess we'll just see, right? Because the teams will also have the weather radar. So 10 minutes away, they'll know what's going to happen. 15 minutes away, they'll know what's going to happen. We did see this, right? At the end of the sprint race, they were over the radio being like, rain is imminent, rain within the next 5 minutes, 5 laps or whatever. And they'll also be factoring in the radar into their tyre choice. All right. Ooh. Can we see a lap of the track? Yes, indeed. And I will... Yeah, I'll take you through a lap of the circuit, actually. Give me a sec. Alright, so here we go. And... I mean, I'll do my best to point out where it's going to be, where the drivers have to be careful in wet conditions, but I've never driven around Zandvoort myself when it's wet, so I'm just going to go off, sort of your logical assumptions, like, for example, on this banking, all of the water that does fall on the banking will flow downwards, and hence the drivers will stay away from the bottom of the track. However, of course, you've got to keep in mind that the people that built the track know that the water's going to flow downwards, hence there'll be drains at the bottom, and the water will drain away very quickly. So, yeah. Down the main straight you go, you just pick whatever line's got the best visibility down the main straight. That'll be another concern as well. Then again, touching these curbs here on the entry to turn 1, you just probably want to stay away, to be honest. The drivers also will have tested out these curbs over the reconnaissance laps, right? They'll know which curbs have got a bit more grip, which curbs to stay away from. I think that curb there on the exit of turn number 3, I remember someone had spun there. Was it Latifi in 23? Oh no, it was Sargent in 23, I think, or maybe 24. Spun on that curb, had quite a big crash, so probably want to stay away from that one. And yeah, and then the track gets really narrow and you've got no margin for error. So the drivers, with whatever visibility they'll try to stay well within the sort of center area of the track to just minimize the risk, I guess, if the conditions are too treacherous. And then yeah, you've just got the final few corners before you head out onto the back straight here. Again, we will still have straight mode during wet conditions, but the sort of the length of this zone here where you've got this dotted line will be a little bit shorter, just to ensure that the drivers have less speed entering into the corners. They have more, they're under full traction, and they've got the car fully settled before they drop the front wing, rear wing, and all of that. So yeah, shorter straight mode sections as well. Because previously, when it was raining, we would have DRS get totally disabled, but that has been changed, where only we will reduce the length of these overtake zones. The track is really drying up now, to be honest, and yeah, the clouds are off in the distance, and I guess we'll see. But I think we maybe have got a bit of a false hope when it started raining quite hard. About, what was it, 20 minutes ago or something. All right. What will happen with the Abu Dhabi, Qatar, and Saudi races? I cannot tell you, really. Yeah, so the Formula One have to figure it out, essentially, but yeah, I'm not so sure. Okay. And okay, so the track actually in, sort of turn 14 there looks really, really wet, but then in the first sector it looks relatively dry. So it might be a thing where, from this section and below it's wet because that's where the rain was heavier, and then this section and above it's a little bit drier. So I guess we'll see. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of umbrellas right now outside in the grandstand, so I suspect the rain is not currently falling. So yeah. Yeah, again, looking at this helicopter shot of turn number 3, again, you've got a distinct dry line that's formed there, but it does still seem like the rest of the track is completely damp. But in that conditions, you don't really want to be taking the inters unless you know for a fact that there will be more rain arriving. And, well, we don't know if the more rain will be arriving, so yeah. We'll keep an eye out on the radios, of course. The radios will be giving us some pretty important insights about, rain in 5 minutes, rain imminent, stage 2 rain, or whatever terminology the engineers use regarding the rain. But yeah. Where to watch the coverage using a VPN? It is Service TV this weekend, so Proton VPN, Austrian VPN, and then Service TV. Okay, we've got some tyre information, and nobody is on Inters. So you've got, let's see, so you've got the bottom 2 Cadillacs on hards, then you've got soft tyres for the majority of the grid, the top 4 all on mediums actually. So this is a good opportunity for the Ferrari drivers to maybe gain a position or two off the line, because they'll be on tyres much more suited to the conditions. And yeah, right. Why is Paris in the pits? It seems like he made some setup changes. Yeah. I will double check. Let's just check what the documents say. Yes, Sergio Perez is required to start from the pit lane for changing the suspension setup of his car while under parc fermé. Okay. Another thing that you'll actually see happening is that, typically the the engineers will have their sort of cooling fans that they'll put into the engine to put into the car to make sure the car doesn't overheat while it's stationary. They'll also have the same thing for the brake ducts. They'll actually be using those to try and dry out the grid slot for their respective drivers. So, for example, Oscar Piastri there in 4th position, they'll have their leaf blowers or whatever it is, like the cooling systems, they'll be pointed at the ground to try and dry that section out so Oscar Piastri can get a better launch off the line. Yeah. All right. The other thing, the tyres, we've got the C4 for the soft, C3 for the medium, C2 for the hards, and We probably could have gone a step softer for Zandvoort. However, the issue is because of the banking, it does introduce very large forces because of the nature of the camber and the banking and that. So Pirelli just want to sort of play it safe and go a step harder. They don't want to have a repeat of Indianapolis 2005. So yeah, that's why we are only gonna have a one stop, even though we could have went a step softer and had a two stop, but Pirelli just don't want to take that risk. Thank you, Andrew, for being a channel member for 11 months. Much appreciated there, mate. 11 months, wow. That is quite a while ago, isn't it? Okay, so 2 minutes now until we get underway. Wait, what are they saying behind the safety car? They said something. Okay, so Liam, we'll have the formation lap behind the safety car. Formation lap behind the safety car. That's what they said to Liam Lawson. So interesting. Yeah, you can see there just on the bottom right of the screen. It's now popped over the edge, but yeah. So the formation lap is going to be behind the safety car. Interesting enough. So it's also that's interesting, because the formation lap's now going to be behind the safety car. It's also going to be rather slow because, well, we know the safety car is not that fast and the drivers tend to go quicker normally under their own speed, so that will be even more problematic for warming up those tires. So the drivers with the soft tires are going to have a further advantage there because, well, it's going to take less heat to warm up the softs than the mediums. So that will be, we'll see how that plays out. Hi Kiz, how you doing? Yeah, doing good. Or yeah, we'll see how many crashes we get. Of course, I'm gonna forecast that we are going to have 7 DNFs in today's race. Yeah, quite the big DNF list, I reckon. Is it still raining? No, not right now. Yeah, the track is still damp in, very, very damp in certain areas, but it is what it is right now. And as you can see, the drivers are out on slicks, so that's another thing as well. But the formation lap is going to be getting underway in 55 seconds. We've got 14,000 people tuned into live stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. I should have updated this like goal way earlier on. It's meant to be 4,500 for race streams. But yeah, be sure to hit the like button. Really does help out the channel. And if you are enjoying, then also be sure to subscribe. I'll be commentating for all of the other races, all of the other practice sessions, quali sessions of the season. Yeah. I've watched every session this weekend for once. Granted, most of them was alongside work, but it's been a while since I've been able to do that. Yeah, it's nice to catch in back with Formula 1, to be honest. Alright, so there we go. Let's get rid of this countdown timer, and the clock is about to hit 3 p.m. Dutch time, and now the safety car will lead the way from the front. Formation lap has begun, folks, and you can see there Lando Norris moves off the line. Right, and you've got some very, very big wet patches there. You can also see the effects of the engineers trying to blow the grid slots dry, and yeah, that's clearly worked. But our tyre strategies for today: medium to hard, around about pitting lap number 30, and then soft tyres, again, medium to hard. You're pitting probably a little bit earlier, lap 27, lap 25, or something like that. Will there be multiple formation laps like in Canada? I don't think so. It seems like, at least from race control, we've only got just one formation lap like standard, so it just happens to be behind the safety car. Right. Is there chances of rain? Yeah, I mean, it rained a little bit earlier. There's clouds, so let's see. Alright, I'm watching the stream on Service TV and then having my commentary. Perfect, yeah. No, it does work quite well, actually. Obviously, if you don't understand German, you can just mute the Service TV commentary and then you can listen to me instead. Alright, Norris has been asked over the radio here, Lando, any comments on the conditions? And you're also going to see a lot of radio messages now of the drivers communicating about what the conditions are like. So they've also confirmed to Antonelli Charles it's going to be a standing start. No behind the safety car or anything. The safety car will pull into the pits, and then we're going to have a normal standing start procedure. And you can see here that there are some very big damp patches, and there's not really a clear dry line that has formed in certain sections. And then I think the sections where you've got a little bit more camber on the circuit, you can clearly see that there is a bit of a dry line formed because the water has sort of drained away down the hill. All right, final corner looks so damp. It does look very, very damp. The drivers, of course, they'll be doing their best to avoid these damp patches. You've sort of got Lando doing a bit of slalom here, avoiding the damp patches, because just driving over the damp patches absolutely sends your tyre temperatures through the floor, and obviously not very good for your race start procedure, is it? Thanks, Robert, for joining the channel membership. Much appreciated. Right, and this is not ideal here for Russell. There's on the right-hand side, so the drivers with even numbers, they're starting on the right hand side of the grid. The drivers with odd numbers starting on the left hand side of the grid, and on the right hand side there's a little bit more of a damp patch on the right side of the grid. So right wheels of Russell's car, a little bit in a damp patch, but we'll see, right? So yeah, we've got everyone doing burnouts. They're weaving left and right, and well, let's get going. We've got George Russell that have said, I see strap 4 and enable blue magic. I don't know what that means, but well, let's hope for it's a dive bomb down the inside and towards turn number 1. Let's see. Okay, here we go. We have got 5. We've got the green lights waving, and green flag waving, sorry, and then we've got the engines revving up here. We have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights, and it is go, go, go for the Dutch Grand Prix, and it's a terrible start for George Russell, and he chops across Oscar Piastri at the start of the line. He's been significantly compromised there. George Russell goes plummeting down the field at second, and it's under pressure from Charles Leclerc as well. It's a horrible, horrible start for him, and Piastri actually losing a position despite getting a great start, because Russell was just slammed the door on him. All of the drivers taking the high line through turn number 3. And there's contact between Verstappen and Lawson. Lawson trying to go right on the outside of Verstappen having none of it. And what is going on there? All right, and you've got Norris still leading the way, Antonelli in second, Russell in third, and Charles Leclerc ahead of Piastri, actually. All right, and Perez comes out of the pit, so he's there at the back. But we've all made it through the first sector without seemingly any damage, as far as I can tell. So Norris will lead the way on the mediums, and you've got Charles Leclerc up 2 positions, actually. And you've got Bortoletto, the biggest loser on the opening lap, 4 positions down. Okay. Yeah, Lawson was getting very, very close there to overtaking Max, but Max was like, I'll just show you a little bit of grass there, and Lawson was sort of forced to back out, wasn't he? Exoteric has been a member for nearly 2 years now. Wow. Cheers, buddy. Cheers. Much, much appreciated. And it looks like the map's glitching out. Brilliant. This is fantastic. Seemingly we've got a yellow flag. What's this? Verstappen? Yellow flag? What's going on? Is this a... Oh no, Verstappen's crashed! What? The car is totaled. I mean, it's all 4 corners are gone. We've got a yellow flag, but it should be a safety car or maybe even a red flag. There's a huge amount of debris everywhere, and Verstappen says he's all right, but he's out. He's out of the session. He's out at his home Grand Prix. The last time we're going to be racing in Zandvoort for a few years now, and he DNFs from the race. The entire reason people show up to the Dutch Grand Prix is because they're supporting Max Verstappen. Oh my goodness me! What has happened there? Did he touch a bit of water or something while he was getting on the power through the final corner or something? What's gone on? We've got 24,000 people tuning in. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We've got a replay here for Max. He's on the inside and he just loses it. And then into the barrier he goes. I mean, I get that you have to take the inside line, Max, through turn number 13, but I was literally saying that there's going to be a huge amount of water there because, well, it's the bottom of the hill. That's where all of the water arrives and waits for you, and I suspect he's just been caught out by it. You know, the rear wheels seemed like it touched a little patch of water, and then he spun off. But yeah. And what's he saying over the radio then? Yeah, that's it. Sorry. Yeah, right. I mean, is that... Oh, it's a red flag. It's a red flag. Okay, that must be barrier damage. Yeah, okay, to be fair, he crashed into the Armco, so that barrier is going to have to get repaired. Holy moly. What? That is so odd. I mean, like I would have expected more from Verstappen. Essentially, like I was like, yeah, I don't know. It was very odd. Um, but that being said, the drivers ahead of him were also doing a very similar thing to Max. They were also tucked right in onto the inside of turn number 14, and they managed to get away with it. But Verstappen seemingly hit a patch of water, and then out he goes. A word about the safety standards of the car, the fact that he strolls away from that. Yeah, it was quite a high-speed impact, wasn't it? Coming out of turn 14, straight into a metal Armco on one side and the metal Armco on the other side, but it walks away from it totally fine. So, of course, as there is one thing the FAA does do well, and it's the safety standards. So props there, and that's the reason for the red flag. Might I point out, folks? They just want to inspect the damage to the barriers, make sure that it's not. If there was another crash to happen at the same location, then we would get a similar result where the driver can walk away fine. So, yeah. All right. I can quickly sort of show you here on my sort of replay. Yeah, you're making your way through turn 14 here, and Max essentially, yeah, just going through here, and he exits here totally fine, and then is taking, you can sort of see here on my lap that I've got about a tyre's width away from the curb, away from the grass, but Verstappen is literally right there. He places his car, of course, much more precisely than me, but yeah, it was a damp patch, and then he spun out. Right. One of those Marshalls is going to get a free Pirelli tyre to take home as a bit of memorabilia. Actually, yeah, that wheel has just been pushed back all the way to where the car is. All right. Yeah, and looking at this replay, right, Russell gets a really bad start. He sees Piastri in his mirrors, and then he's just like, oh, over to the right, and I'm no letting you by. So. Yeah, I don't know about that, mate, Russell, but it is also the start of the race. I mean, it's a second to the start of the race, and they tend to get away with these sort of things on lap 1. Yeah, but let me know what you guys think of. I'm sure some of you have seen the replay of what Russell did to Piastri at the start of the race. Red flag because damage to the barriers. Yeah, damage to the barriers. And then Verstappen also then getting pushed over to the grass, and that was by Lewis? Yeah, that was by Lewis. Also just sort of jostling for position, and I guess he didn't see Max, but then, yeah, he probably felt that slight little bit of contact and then pulled away very quickly, but yeah. I don't think Russell's going to be getting any sort of penalty. Charles Leclerc really did come steaming through. That was a great start for him on those used soft tyres as well. He'd done one quali lap on them, but he had still sent it through the middle on the opening lap and dealt with that pretty well. Is Piastri okay? Yeah, Piastri's fine. I mean, he lost a position because Russell closed the door on him. But you're also entitled to do that. Like Piastri was in no way aside, and Russell just closed the gap, and Oscar Piastri didn't pull an Ayrton Senna, tried to go into a gap that did not exist. So. Is Max out? Yes, Max is out. How long is the red flag? I've probably got an ETA on it for about five minutes. Not much more than that. And Lawson and Verstappen were getting very, very close to each other on the exit of turn number 3, but Verstappen there was on the left-hand side, which sort of takes takes the inside line in towards the following few corners, which allowed him to get ahead of Lawson. Well, that's our first of 7 DNFs that I'd predicted. Looking at the replay here, Gasly also encountering quite a lot of water while going through turn number 13 and turn number 14, sorry. and Liam Lawson, let's look at the replay from his perspective. And yeah, Max essentially just the rear of the car twitches and he's off into the wall. But it's very difficult to say whether that was Max's fault or the rain. But yeah, you could see the line that he was taking, and there was a slightly drier line available to the left hand side. But again, it's easy to see in the replay from the TV cockpit slightly up here, right? You know, you're sat in a lower down perspective and you're not always going to see it. In fact, Bortoleto behind also spins, does a 360, just manages to avoid his teammate Nico Hülkenberg. But that's why Bortoletto's down 9 positions, because he spun at the exact same place where Verstappen spun. Yeah. Is it raining? No. The Bortoleto recovery was sick. Yeah, that spin and then a perfect 360 was pretty solid, to be honest. All right. Well, that's that. We're on lap 3 of 72, and all of the drivers in the garage here waiting about. Okay. Will it be a standing start? Yeah. I mean, it's not raining even more, so if we had a standing start earlier, we can have a standing start again. It's just the final section of the circuit that was the big problem. That's where we saw Gasly have some pretty severe sort of snaps, and he managed to keep the car under control. Bortoleto did a spin, and Verstappen, of course, shot into a barrier. When is the restart? No confirmation from race control here. No confirmation whatsoever. All right, I am going to have to put a message up on the screen explaining what happened to Max. Yeah, because we're going to get a lot of people asking. All right, let's just pop that next to Max's name here at the bottom. There we go. I think that should be enough. Now Piastri should be able to pass Russell at some point. Much better battle. Racer low, slower on average. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think the McLarens, their race pace yesterday was decent while the tyre wear wasn't high. And as the tyres wore on, you saw that Norris was getting slower and slower compared to Charles Leclerc. So I guess we'll just sort of have to wait and see. Also, Rex, I would like to ask you, what are your thoughts on Liam Lawson so far this weekend, right? The first time, he's been back up at Red Bull for a little bit now, and, I say he's been within the Red Bull family for a little bit, but first time at Red Bull this season, and, what are your thoughts? I think that he's done a very good job this weekend, being able to get so close to Max Verstappen, and then also managing to avoid that crash there as well. Yeah, Lawson immediately over the radio saying, "Is he okay?" That was huge. Yeah, and then they come over the radio saying, "Yeah, he's getting all out. He's getting out." Yeah, I think Lawson has proved himself a bit, and he will probably have a spot waiting for him once I reckon. Not if, when he leaves the Red Bull family, probably. I think that's the way it's heading. Albon over the radio, he was complaining because Esteban Ocon overtook him while there was a crash going on, but I'm sure Esteban Ocon is going to be right there to argue. Oh, Nico Hülkenberg. Oh, I'm just looking at this replay here. That was crazy. He hopped on the brakes, was going right, and then dodged over to the left and just avoided get Bortoleto. Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, you guys will have to watch the onboards yourselves if you haven't got the broadcast. But I would highly recommend it. There were some incredibly close calls. Yeah, very very close indeed. Okay. Yeah. Still. Oh. Okay. We've got a message about the resumption order. So the order that we're going to restart the race in. But yeah, nothing as of when we're actually going to restart, which is yeah, brilliant. Right. How can I watch it using Proton VPN? It is on Service TV, folks. So, um, yeah, the way that you do it, you join an Austrian VPN server and then connect to Service TV or ORF. They're just a website. It's either one or the other. So what some weekends it's Service TV, some weekends it's ORF. Yeah. Lawson will have to continue proving himself for the rest of his career since he didn't enter F1 with the hype of the typical rookies. He's under perpetual scrutiny. Yeah, it is. It is sort of like that, isn't it? Formula One is very much if you have been given a label of, you are not one of the future greats. For example, Charles Leclerc has been given a label that he is going to be one of the future greats, and that helps immensely with just stopping the intense scrutiny with every single mistake. Leclerc has made a lot of mistakes in his career, right? Not so as a lot of other drivers, but you do get put in a different way, right? For example, if Sergio Perez was to crash in 2022 and Charles Leclerc was to crash, they would both get treated very differently because, well, whatever view that we have of the driver. And I think Lawson will encounter that, and I think Sonoda has been facing similar things as well. So it's just sort of how it goes, really, in sports, especially right at the top. Okay. Yeah. Still, unfortunately, not much else going on here. There has been a Turn 14 incident involving Ocon yellow flag infringement, so I suspect that's what that's what Albon was talking about, actually, about Ocon overtaking him while the crash was going on, and then you've got Colapinto also been noted for yellow flag infringement. I haven't seen the replay for that, but yeah, another thing to watch out for. Right. After the barrier's been hit, it takes a lot of work to get it safe again. Essentially, yeah, that's about it, really. They, even if they have an entire sort of replacement section of barrier available, they've still got to take out the old version, then put the new one in, and still need some pretty rigid support structure to ensure that it can survive a Formula One car crashing into it at 200 kilometers an hour. It'll be a standing start, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I may have run out of topics to talk about tomorrow. So if you guys have anything you wanna ask me about in the chat, then be sure to let me know. And as you can see here, Esteban Ocon, no further investigation for a yellow flag infringement. So whatever Albon was complaining about, no penalty is coming out of it. So yeah, Ocon gets that overtake. Yeah, it will have been under yellow flags, and I assume that's what they're referring to. Yeah. Right. Okie dokes. Nico with a great reaction time. Oh yeah, for sure. Why is everyone talking about if Piastri can overtake Russell? It might be something to do with... Oh, no, Piastri's going to be starting. So you're going to have Norris starting first, and then Antonelli, then Russell, then Charles Leclerc, and then Piastri. So the order that it currently is right now. Will it rain? Let's double check the forecast. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, the BBC is still predicting 55% chance of rain within the final half of the race, but they weren't wholly accurate. AccuWeather, let's see what AccuWeather's got to say. AccuWeather is predicting a 34% chance of rain for the second half of the race, so I guess we'll find out. Yeah. Seems like there's a whole lot more activity actually going on in the garage, and we have got a right, fantastic. We've got a restart time. That's in 10 minutes. 10 minutes restart. Okay, here we go. I'll pop that up on the screen for you guys. Give me just a sec. Here we go. All right, race in 10 minutes and 6 seconds. So the drivers will come out of the pit lane. They will do one lap around the circuit. That will be their formation lap, and then we'll go racing. Who does the restart benefit? Well, the drivers on the soft tyres. Charles Leclerc probably, because, well, he got a really good launch before, so he'll be looking to do the same thing again. And that's about it, really. Yeah. There's not really huge sort of, benefits to who restarts and who doesn't. Have they changed tyres? They could have changed tyres if they wanted to. Ooh, that's interesting. Because we know the tyre wear historically here in Zandvoort is extremely low. So you could, and it would be a very big if, but it would rely on a few more safety cars and things like that. But you could put on a set of hard tyres now and go to the end of the race. It would be extremely difficult, don't get me wrong, but let's say you spend 10 laps behind safety car at around lap 40 to 50, then 10 laps behind the safety car really reduces your amount of tyre degradation, and, well, you can also cool down your tyres as well. So maybe it would be, it'd be a very difficult strategy, but someone might want to take that gamble. Fernando Alonso in this situation, right? We know that overtaking incredibly difficult. We know that Alonso very good at defending. We know he's not probably going to score any points if he just races normally. So why not take that gamble? For the race restart, they will not reinstate the lap 1 order. They will... Lindblad is under investigation for a yellow flag infringement. And no, they will go by this order number here. And let's test my knowledge here. So you've got Lando Norris car number 1, Antonelli car 12, Russell car 63, 16 is Charles Leclerc, 81 is Piastri, 44 Lewis, 30 is... Who is 30? It must be Lawson. Car 41, yeah, I can't actually remember all of the drivers' numbers, but yeah, you can see here that this is the order that they're restarting in, so it's not the lap number 1 order. Why is the clock not running? Because they paused the clock under red flag conditions for the race. There is a secondary clock, which is, I think, 4 hours long, but that is still running in the background, but yeah, that is not the one that's displayed up on the screen. I like your live streams. It feels like listening to the radio. Thank you very much. No, I do get that quite a bit, actually. A lot of people just like listening to a radio broadcast about Formula 1, and it's not available in everyone's country all around the world, so that's quite nice. Yeah. I will read out the order of the restarts, and every after all the pit stops are done, for example, I'll read out the order again, just as a bit of a reference point for the people that are just listening, right, because you haven't got everything up on your screen. F1 Gamer, who's going to be winning the World Drivers' Championship? Well, it looks like Antonelli, no? So I'm going to go with Antonelli. It's a boring choice, isn't it? Thank you for all you do from Seoul, South Korea. Thank you very much. No, glad to have people all around the world here, actually. We watched Dan's in Spain, but I've listened to you since you started. Well done. Oh, it's nice. Nice to hear. Nice to hear. Well, I hope if you're in Spain, then you can they can get yourself over to the Madrid race, maybe. Interestingly enough, track temperature is up at 32 degrees Celsius, which is well, quite high actually, because I would have thought that given that it's rained, it would have cooled down a bit due to the the water, but apparently not. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the temperature sensor's only in one part of the circuit, which is maybe shaded and it's not got any rain around it. But yeah, still rather warm. And we'll find out what tires the drivers will have once they come out of the pit lane. So most likely, what we will see is the drivers will just have the same set of tires. You'll see medium, 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 and then soft, and all of the columns will shift along one to the right. But we could also have a different set of tires, right? Was it just me, or did it look like Russell made two moves to block Piastri from making an overtake at the start of the race? I mean, maybe just one move, but he did make a very distinct dart over to the right hand side. But it's sort of allowed because Piastri wasn't really, was nowhere near alongside, and then also you're allowed to make one move to defend, like one move to the right, one move to the left. Contract renewal before home race, final corner, crash, Charles Leclerc, 2026, Max Verstappen, Netherlands, 2026. Oh, interesting. Well, we'll see. Maybe, Carlos Sainz has got his contract renewed this weekend before the Madrid race in a month or so. Antonelli, well, he's got the Italian Grand Prix coming up, so we'll. But I think his contract's set for a while now. All right. Yeah, not long till we get underway, folks. Not long till we get underway. If you are enjoying the coverage, be sure to hit the like button. Goes a long way to helping out the channel as always. And I will be commentating for the upcoming Monza Grand Prix. There is one other thing that I would like to point out, that for the Baku Grand Prix, which is quite a ways away actually, about a month away now, I will be starting work the week before the Baku Grand Prix, and hence it's unlikely that I'm gonna take days off for the Baku Grand Prix to stream. And the other thing that they've done is that Baku will be on a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday rather than Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, I might actually miss qualifying, but I will still be there for the race. But yeah, we'll see about that. Really, I'll give you much more details closer in. But yeah, just a bit of a heads up, I guess. Your track status still goes between green and yellow. Any ideas why? It's probably just because the marshals will say that there's a piece of debris there. They'll go out onto the circuit and they deploy the yellow flag for that momentary section, and then come back and then deploy it green again. So, all right. Just run the stream away from the keyboard. We'll talk amongst ourselves. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I'll just have the stream on without any sort of commentary, because of course there's still a large number of people that still just want to have a look at the numbers and the data. So yeah, it might be worth doing that, to be honest. Has there been any further rain predicted? Maybe. I mean, there's still more rain on the radar, but whether it'll arrive over the circuit is still yet to be seen, right? Yeah, still yet to be seen. Right. Is Lewis's car alright? I think Lewis's car is fine, yeah. No major sort of yeah, when he had that little touch with Charles, I think he was fine. Apart from that, yeah, it's all been clear. It's going to be a standing start, folks. It's going to be a standing start. I'm going to get rid of this countdown timer. We'll have the drivers coming out of the pit lane within the minute, and then once they're out of the pit lane, we will have another standing start. Okay, and they've come over with a lot of questions there to Lando Norris about, how wet is it, what sort of tyres does he want, and the other thing is the drivers also will have a bit of insight into, how much front end grip they had, so they could be asking for a bit more front wing angle, a little bit less front wing angle, and that sort of stuff. But yeah. Charles Leclerc asked, do I have a bite point or not? So that will again be clutch settings, right? That's another thing that you've got to keep in mind, actually, is that when you're in wet conditions, you'll have less traction off the line, so you want slightly different clutch settings to your typical sort of race start because, well, you've got less grip. Oh, those are hard tyres? Lando Norris has got hard tyres. Oh, he's used my strategy. I came up with a strategy. Respect. Okay. So Lando Norris coming out on hards. The data is incorrect. It is... 100% incorrect because he's out on hards. It's not softs. So, is that Oscar on hards? Wait. I may have misread the. Give me a sec. Oscar's coming out. Oh no, Lando Norris is out on softs. Oscar's on hards. Big mistake there. I don't know how I mistook the two drivers' helmets, but yeah, Oscar Piastri is on hard tyres. He's going to the end of the race. Norris has put on softs. So he seemingly is going to go for a one-stop strategy. He wants the advantage of the soft tyres to get a good launch off the line. And Piastri's going to go long. Well, there you go. We'll see if anyone else around the grid bites and tries to... there you go, Albon as well. Albon pulled this off in... What was it? Australia 2024, I think. I think he did 51 laps of Albert Park on a set of hard tyres. And I think he's going for a similar sort of strategy here. So let's see if Albon can pull that one off. And is there anyone else further down the field that is going to opt for the same strategy? Don't think so. What's going on with Stroll? Is Stroll's car broken down and he's not able to start and get out of the pit lane? It's going to be a standing start here, folks, but Stroll is not out onto the circuit. Stroll, Sainz, Perez, they've not retired from the race. Stroll, I'm checking. They said, why is it red? Oh, there's a red light, apparently, at the end of the pit lane. Is there? It doesn't say anything here. And now they've all left. So what are they going to do now? Double warm-up? What's going on? Because these guys are going to arrive so much later, and Norris's tyres are going to cool down by the time that Stroll, Sainz, Bottas, Perez arrive. Very odd. Okay. You've got Perez there. You can see he's switched over to the hard tyres, and you've got Bottas still staying out on hards. And Behrman stopped. Wait, has Behrman got an issue? What's going on with the radio here for Ollie Behrman? Wait, his GPS also says 0 kilometers per hour, and there's no yellow flag. Oh no, there's been a yellow flag now deployed for Behrman, and it's plan C for chaos. It's confirmed. I mean, Behrman's car is just broken down. They said, "Yeah, cheers, Ollie," and he's stopped and he's got out of the car, I think. Yeah, he's got out of the car. Well, looks like we're going to have a double formation lap, and we're going to have to wait. We're going to drive around behind the safety car, maybe? What's going to go on? I'm not exactly sure. I mean, let's see, right? Let's see. Yeah, they line themselves up on the grid. And are we going to have a standing start immediately then into a virtual safety car or something? This is what is going on? What is going on, man? Right, and you've finally got now Sergio Perez and Bottas approaching the grid. They've done their warm-outs, and then you've got... is this one of the Cadillacs going ahead of where they should be, or is that... Alright, we've got a second formation lap. Brilliant. Yeah, extra formation lap here, as you guys can see. So, brilliant. An extra formation lap, and they'll be clearing up Ollie Behrman's car pretty quick now. Let's hope no more issues. But that's our second DNF then. So we're on lap number 4. We've had 2 DNFs. So if we carry on going at this rate, all of the drivers are going to retire by what, lap number 44? Okay. Yeah, we've got more formation laps going on than we've got actual racing. No, Lindblad is fine, but the GPS system thinks that he's lapped, which he isn't lapped, but yeah, the GPS system thinks that he is lapped. So he is still behind Lawson. He should be in 8th position, but the system is broken and it thinks that Lindblad is in 21st position. So yeah. I'm sure that will resolve itself soon enough, but classic, isn't it? And I'm also sure, look, the map seems to work now while we're on the formation lap. You know, you've got tiny little hitches here and there, but I'm sure as soon as the race starts, it's all going to fall apart again. Okay. Multi-billion-dollar company, by the way. Yeah, it is crazy. It's estimated that Baku is paying Formula One upwards of 100 million to race in the street. So Baku has to pay Formula One, not Formula One has to pay Baku, and upwards of 100 million for one race. Yeah, more formation laps are good for Piastri, of course. Just helps him extend out his tyres, and he's got less racing laps to do. Yeah, honestly, I think Piastri is in for a good race here. He's pretty good at tyre management. We know that the McLaren, it's a bit not ideal really, because the McLaren car we know is a bit heavy on its tyres, so it's going to be extra hard for Piastri because the car is sort of against him a little bit in the way of tyre management. But let's see. Both drivers strat 7 for Piastri and for Norris. I assume is the high power, high attacking mode. So let's keep that in mind. Mercedes, and then George Russell has been told strat 4. What is this? Okay, so they've both got the same power unit, but one team's on strat 4, one team's on strat 7. Anyway, green flag is waving. We've got all of the cars revving up. You've got Antonelli. His car is tilted over to the left hand side to try and block Lando Norris as soon as possible. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights, and it is go. We are racing, and this is a yellow flag immediately. Oh no, okay, we're back, and Antonelli is so close to getting ahead of Lando Norris, and he does so. A very good start there for Antonelli, and he manages to get ahead of Lando Norris at the start of this race. Well, on lap number 5 of this race, on the restart of this race. Regardless, there's some very good driving from Antonelli, just holding that inside line. Not much Norris could do about that, despite being on the soft tyres. Antonelli on the medium, still here being... And Piastri's up into P3. George Russell struggling yet again. And Oscar Piastri on the hard tyres up into 3rd position. Oh my. All right, this is really good for Oscar Piastri. And Russell now trying to look to the inside. He's coming under pressure from Charles Leclerc as well. What's gone on with his car? Drive-through penalty for Arvin Lindblad, by the way. Drive-through penalty for yellow flag infringement. So that must have been overtaking while the earlier yellow flag was out or something. But yeah, very odd. All right, folks, I'm going to give the data system a bit of a refresh here. Let's see if that will fix things. Give me a sec. Okay. So we'll be back in, and there we go. Okay, maybe this is going to work. Arvin Lindblad enters into the pit lane. That's for his drive-through penalty. And look at the gap that Norris and Antonelli have pushed. They've already pulled a 2-second gap from Piastri, and of course Piastri's on these hard tyres, so he's going to be holding up the whole field behind him. And Russell now loses out to Charles Leclerc. What is going on with George Russell? They told him to put the car into strat 4. Norris has also been told to go into strat 4 now. But interesting that both McLarens were told to go into strat 7 at the start of the race, and George Russell was told to go to strat 4. And interestingly enough, he's lost positions while the McLarens are up there. And Russell still hanging on to fourth position by a very, very fine thread there. And you can see the car twitching about ever so slightly before he then gets onto the power, and then the front wing, rear wing drops and everything. But yeah, Antonelli leading from the front. That gap, about 0.7 of a second. Norris still within this overtake mode, right? So he can potentially make a move as he goes towards the inside. Can Oscar hold on to that? I don't know. I mean, Russell is now seemingly back in, he's got some pace again, and he's no longer looking susceptible to Charles overtaking him. So I guess we'll see. Yeah, it was a bit of just a shaky start for Russell. I mean, maybe it was the warm-up procedure, right? Maybe it was the sort of warm-up from coming out of the pit lane. The tyres weren't properly adequately warmed up, and that's what resulted in him losing that position. But it was also just an incredible move from Piastri. He saw the space, he took the move, and no looking back from it. I don't think Russell was even expecting Piastri to go down the inside there. So yeah, just solid move there from Piastri, really. Will he be able to hold on? Well, given how difficult it is to overtake here in Zandvoort, I think that he stands a really good chance. We saw that Norris hung on to that position for upwards of 20 laps in the sprint race. So yeah, I'm sure Piastri could do something similar. Okay. Seems like it's all right. Let's have a quick refresh again. Let's see if this helps. No, it seems like the actual data itself is just having a bit of a nightmare. So apologies for that, folks. Right. Again, purple first sector there for Norris, purple final sector for Antonelli, and a fastest lap of the race for Antonelli as well. And that gap is just getting built out. I mean, look at that. So, by the way, folks, as it says at the top of the screen there, 18 seconds is lost by coming in for a pit stop. So if Piastri is not going to pit and he's going to go right to the end of the race, he has got to stay within 18 seconds of Norris to even have a chance of winning this. And at the rate they're going, every 2 laps or so, they're building out a 1 second gap, so half a second per lap or so. And well, we'll see how it goes. Right. And what else is going on here? We've got Albon still doing all right, actually, given that he's on hard tyres. Yeah, folks, I know the map is lagging, but as you've seen, I've done a refresh and everything, and there's just not much that can be done, to be honest. It's a laggy system. I'll see if I can come up with a solution for upcoming Grand Prix, but yeah, it's not ideal. Yeah, okay. Franco Colapinto into the pit lane. Oh no, it's because he's been given a drive-through penalty for a yellow flag infringement. It's not a pit stop or anything like that. So same thing as Lindblad. Both drivers got yellow flag infringements, which I suspect is overtaking under yellow flags, and for that reason they've been given drive-through penalties, which of course amount to around 18 seconds, 16 seconds worth of a penalty overall, because you lose 18 seconds during a pit stop, but of course you've got to account for the 2 seconds that you are stationary for the pit stop. A drive-through is just going straight through the pit lane. So yeah, 16 seconds or so, 15 seconds of lost time for those guys. Bortoletto has been noted for leaving the pit lane exit on a red light. That was the red light that Stroll stopped for. So if Bortoletto has got it, then Behrman's also got it as well. I mean, Behrman's out of the race, so it doesn't matter for him, but Bortoletto may have a penalty heading his way as well. I don't know why there was a red light at the end of the thing anyway, so yeah. Up at the front, you've got Russell actually dropping out of overtake range for Piastri. So you can see there that Piastri helped building out a healthy lead, and his lap times are very consistent. Kimi Antonelli also at the front, very consistent lap times, but Lando Norris matching him very, very well, and that gap is staying within about a second or so of each other. Okay. What happened to Max? It says there at the bottom he crashed at turn 14. Yeah. Okay. We'll keep our eye out also here on the radio messages regarding the rain and things like that. Oscar Piastri also just getting coached over the radio here, telling him that, well, these engineers telling him that, you can brake a little bit later into some of these corners, especially turn number 1, that you can see there, the most recent message, good job turn 1. So been told exactly where he can get this lap time out, and he's holding a 1 minute 17.3. I think that must be his target lap time, because, well, he's been doing that for past few laps now, and you can see that Russell and Leclerc behind him also doing similar sort of pace. What are Oscar's chances if it rains? Well, what would work for Oscar is if it rains around lap number, let's say 55, 60 or so. So in the final 10 laps, if it rains, that will mean that he won't have to complete a pit stop, whereas all of his other rivals will have to complete a pit stop and then again have a pit stop for the rain, whereas Piastri will just be able to continue on towards then. So for a Piastri fan or for an Alex Albon fan, you would want rain, lap 50 onwards. And the clouds, we're seeing bigger patches of blue sky, to be honest, so the rain, I think, is looking less and less likely. Yeah. Okay. Thank you everyone for tuning in, by the way. Much, much appreciated. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. If you are enjoying, then be sure to hit the like button as well. It does go a long way to helping out the channel. And hopefully we can sort out this this laggy mess of a map soon enough. Yeah. Well, to be honest, sometimes it works rather smoothly, and then sometimes just not whatsoever. So the VPN thing is still working. All right, we got Bortoletto into the pit lane here, so he's pitted from the soft tires onto the medium tires, and yeah, he's back out onto the circuit there. So seems like his soft tyres just weren't holding up great. Also, you've got to remember that these soft tyres are the tyres that he spun in. He did that 360, which I suspect would have resulted in a bit of a flat spot, right? So the flat spot from just the flat spot from holding the brakes to prevent the spin from going on much longer. So the vibrations probably aren't ideal. Bortoletto is going to be investigated after the race for leaving the pit exit on a red light. Yeah. Another day, another Antonelli win. Well, look, folks, since 2021, we've been racing here in Zandvoort, and every single time the driver that got pole position has actually gone on to win the race. So, well, it looks good for Lando Norris according to history, but on circuit, Antonelli is doing a great job there. And in fact, that gap, which was 1 second a few laps ago, is now up to 1.7. So Antonelli building up a bit of a margin, and he's in fact been told to go into strap mode 8, which, to be honest, I don't actually know what that stands for in the Mercedes power unit. Where can I watch the thing with Proton VPN? It's Servers TV. There you go. Yeah. Bro got ASMR mic. Yeah, and this is the thing. To be honest, I need to get a bit of a, what's it called? A mic stand, because if I bring it really close, then yeah, it just gets a bit ASMR-y, Alright. What else is going on? Charles Leclerc still continuing to apply pressure to George Russell, but just not really getting very well, just not getting very far really. You know, he had to apply pressure to Lando Norris for upwards of, I'd say, 15 laps or so of the sprint race before he got a move done. So he's gonna have to wait around a little bit. Yeah. Just looked at the actual radar data. Doesn't look like it's going to rain. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, isn't it? Would have liked a little bit more rain, but such is life. Lawson's having a very lonely race. Yeah, it seems so. I mean, the Red Bull itself, I don't think had the pace really to keep up with the Ferraris. Even looking at the race simulation data that we had before the race started, and it seems like the Red Bulls were at least a fair chunk away from the Ferraris. Verstappen, we don't know what his pace would have been, but Lawson was very close in qualifying. So, you know, if we just sort of track off that, yeah, there's not much that Lawson's going to have to do this race, because Hamilton's going to be way up ahead of him and Gasly's going to be way up behind him. And right now he's got a 5 second gap ahead and a 6 second gap behind. Okay. No, Lawson is doing still a good job. It's just going to be a bit of a boring drive for him, really. Yeah. And the sun now really is shining. What is Russell saying over the radio? Consider original plan A, and then copy. Fair enough. So plan A for George Russell. Of course, he's still out on those medium tyres that he started the race on before the red flag, so he'll be switching on to the hards around lap number 30 or so. And well, considering on lap 15 we've still got a little bit while till he changes those tyres, and there's of course an opportunity there for Ferrari to try and undercut. We do know that, you know, at circuits where you've got low tyre wear, the undercut isn't of course the strongest thing in the world, but yeah, you can also pull it off. So let's see. The other issue, of course, will be traffic when you go for the undercut strategy. So the drivers will lose 18 seconds by coming into the pit lane. So you can see that Charles Leclerc, if he pits now, he will come out behind Yuki Tsunoda, which will, of course, not help him in his chances of undercutting George Russell. So as a result, he's going to have to continue building that gap out a few more laps till where he comes out from his pit stop will be ahead of Pierre Gasly, where you've got a nice, 5 seconds, 6 second gap there to push and to attack. So when that window happens is when I suspect Ferrari should try and pit. I don't know, of course, if their strategy department is as good as me, of course, but no, just joking. But yeah, we'll see what Ferrari do, right? Okay. Yeah. F1 gamer Yuki doing good for some points here. Wonder how long Isaac will be away. It seems like Isaac's only going to be away for this race, and then he'll be back for Monza, because I think they would have, if they were confident that it was going to take a month to recover, then they would have said that Lawson's going to be driving for the next two races rather than just the one race. So yeah, I think for that reason, Hadjar will probably be back. And yeah, Sonoda's currently in 10th position, so he's got a good shot of scoring points here. There is, of course, Alex Albon behind him, which will be on that different strategy, so they'll have to be cognizant of that and to be aware to see if Sonoda can still remain ahead. And yeah, Nico Hulkenberg about 3 seconds up the road, so we'll see how that plays out for Sonoda. But it's still overall a very good job that Tsunoda has done. He has never driven one of these cars, 2026 cars, in real life. He's of course done the simulator work, but again, that's pretty different to driving them in real life. And then of course adapting to the Racing Bulls car, because he does the Red Bull car in the simulator. So adapting to that within the space of a sprint weekend, pretty solid job. And well, yeah, he's up there in 10th, and I think Lawson's done a very, very good job as well, adapting to the Red Bull car. Fernando Alonso up into P12, yeah. Oh my god. Of course, you've got a few drivers coming into the pits, which is partially helping, but Yep, Alonso's doing nicely. And Russell dives into the pit lane. Oh, okay. Russell dives into the pits. Is he going to come out in traffic? Is he going to come out ahead of Tsunoda? What's going to go on here? So Russell into the pit lane, and he's now slowly emerging out of the stop there. Here he comes. Where's he going to come out? Gasly goes by, Hulkenberg goes by, and then it's very close with Hulkenberg actually, and he still loses out, to be fair. And George Russell now stuck in traffic. So was that a bit of an own goal there by Mercedes? I'm not exactly so sure. Yeah, because he's now going to be losing time behind Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg will not just let him by for no reason. You've also got Russell there on the hard tyres, Hulkenberg's on the softs, so another thing. But yeah, slow stop. All right. Well, George Russell, on average, has actually got the quickest pit stops out of all of the drivers. So I guess at some point a slow stop was bound to come. But yeah. Here he goes. He tries to get round the outside of turn number 10, actually. And it's a nice move there by George on those fresh hards. And he does manage to get ahead of Hulkenberg. You got Piastri into the pits as well, actually. Wait, Piastri into the pits? What? What are McLaren doing? He was supposed to go on the hards to go to the end of the race, and he stopped now. Is there something wrong with the car? He didn't have any penalty. No penalties for him. He's just stopped. 5.4 second pit stop. What, McLaren? I mean, he's out now on what tires is he out on? We'll see. But what was the reason exactly for that pit stop? I guess. Yeah, okay. 54 laps now. Now this is much more doable with the one set of hard tyres, but surely with the fact that we've had so much chaos so far in the race, you could wait for a safety car. Like you're out on the hards. Yeah, I know he's covering for Russell, but he's also on a different strategy. So, but oh well. I mean, it is what it is. McLaren chose what to do, but I would have thought that, given that we've had a pretty high chance of crashes and DNFs and so far this season, if you're on the hard tyres, it does actually give you the flexibility to wait around to lap number 50 when there's a safety car, and then you get a pit stop for 9 seconds cheaper, and well, then that benefits you quite severely, doesn't it? McLaren papaya rule still in effect. Oh, is Piastri not too happy with his tyres? Right, maybe, yeah. If he's not too happy with his tyres, they've just bolted on another set of hards to continue on to the end of the race. So, yeah, okay. Fast lap of the race there from George Russell after he cleared his traffic, of course. He's now got some clean air ahead of him to put in some quick lap times. Okay. What else is going on right now? We've got Hulkenberg into the pits. He's out on the soft again. Interesting that Hulkenberg is doing soft and then onto the softs. Okay, so Piastri's been told he needs to be doing quicker than a 117.5. His previous lap, his best lap is a 117.0. He's now going to be doing some laps. But given that he's on for a personal best, I think he'll be lapping nice and quickly. Oh, that might be it. It might be, yeah, that might be the clouds are probably part of the reason why the GPS system isn't working so great. Alonso is currently in the points, but he's also got a pit stop to make. And if he does come into the pits, he will come out in 16th position. So, yeah, he's currently in the points scoring positions. I don't know if he's going to remain there. Okay, Piastri, purple in the first sector on a fresh set of hards. He is now trying to chase down George Russell and pull off an overtake. All right. Charles Leclerc has been told to box. Ooh, these clouds off in the distance, they look rather ominous. But yeah, they are off in the distance, quite far away. Antonelli's also been told to box. And Norris is into the pits as well. Any tyre change in the red flag? If so, we can go to the end. Yeah, we did have a few... thanks for the donation, buddy. And yeah, we did have a few tyre changes during the red flag. It was Piastri and Albon that did it. Yeah, Piastri and Albon changed tyres. And it's a slow stop for Leclerc, 4.2 seconds. You've got the Red Bull crew also here for Liam Lawson. Everyone coming into the pits here on lap 22. Quite early on, actually. I mean, potential for a two-stop, but yeah, I'm not so sure. All right, so everyone has come into the pits with the exception of Lewis Hamilton, Alex Albon. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Lewis Hamilton, Alex Albon, Alonso, and Sainz. And then you've got the two Cadillacs at the back as well. But we'll see what Hamilton does. And Antonelli is in a net P1. Norris in P2. And then Russell in P3. Yeah, track temp actually is going up to 37 degrees, so that might be part of the cause in terms of, you know, the amount of tyre wear that we're getting, things like that. Yeah, interesting. Charles Leclerc's on mediums, everyone else is on hards. So is Leclerc committing to a two-stop? The Pirelli recommend you can do about 30 laps on medium tyres. So doing 50 is going to be a bit of a stretch, but, you know, you did see the soft tyres. Charles Leclerc pulled out a very long stint with those yesterday as well. So, you know, maybe there's a chance. Who knows? Yeah, don't know what's going on with the pit stops this week. They weren't the quickest set of pit stops that we've seen, have we? Any chance of Norris or Kimi losing to third place, or is the gap too far now? Well, I assume you mean a net P3, and that's George Russell, who's in a net P3, and yeah, given that gap is now 3.5 seconds between Russell and Norris, it seems unlikely. Russell is coming under a lot more pressure really from Oscar Piastri. Yeah. All right. And Liam Lawson here trying to overtake Alex Albon, so that was of course a function of the pit stops. Then Albon hasn't come into the pits, Lawson has, so that's why Lawson has to try and make this move. He's doing alright actually, and I suspect coming down this straight he's going to have a big bunch of overspeed. You can see that Albon tops out at like 3:14 and Lawson tops out at 3:34. He goes to the inside, says thank you very much. Lawson's obviously... Albon's not going to fight it all that much, is he? They're on different strategies, just best to not lose as much time as you can. Well, lose as little time as possible, sorry. Okay. Why did Behrman stop? It must have been a mechanical problem. They never sort of came through clearly with what the reason was, but something mechanical with the car, and he just stopped. Hamilton's been asked for a tyre update when you can, and he says tyres are okay. So very much like Charles Leclerc yesterday, pulling off 24 laps on a set of soft tyres, and he's done a pretty decent job, isn't he? Yeah, so if he comes into the pits under a safety car or a virtual safety car, he will only lose 9 seconds worth of race time. So that will plop him just ahead of George Russell in a net P3. So Lewis Hamilton fans right now are praying for a safety car or a virtual safety car. Yeah. All right. Got a few more battles going on here further down the field, actually. We've got Lindblad, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Tsunoda, all very, very bunched up. Why did Oscar pit so early? Apparently he wasn't too happy with his tyres, but yeah, I'm not sure exactly what McLaren were planning with the strategy, to be honest. Yeah. It might have been that what they said to Piastri was, what we're going to do is we're going to try to go to the end of the race on these set of tyres. Let me know what you feel. And then if we feel that it's going badly, then we can just pit again and we can put on a fresh set of hard tyres and copy everyone else's strategy. Because he's essentially copied Russell's, Norris, Antonelli's strategy. But his stint for the second set of tyres were hards instead of mediums, hards instead of mediums or softs. So yeah, maybe he just came over the radio saying, yeah, there ain't no way I'm making it to the end of the race with one set of tyres, and they were like, all right, sounds good, we'll just put you on our normal strategy. That's probably what it was. So I guess the McLaren flexibility did work out in the end. All right, Lewis does come into the pits, and as you can see there, he is dropped out behind Charles Leclerc and ahead of Liam Lawson. That's exactly where he was before the pit stops. So yeah, pretty standard stuff. And our new race leader is Kimi Antonelli with a 1.5 second lead over Lando Norris. You've then got 4.7 seconds to George Russell, and then 1.2 seconds to Piastri behind Russell. But yes, the McLaren flexibility, quote unquote, thing did cost them the position to Russell because Piastri was initially ahead of him. Right. But Oscar was still pulling good time. Couldn't have you got at least a good overcut? Yeah, he probably could have, and that's why I was quite confused when they pulled him into the pits, because there's still a decent chance that we're going to have a safety car at some point, right? You've got you can see there from 11th position down to 14th. They're within the space of a second of each other. So, the possibility of a front wing just being deposited on the circuit, or a crash happening, is rather quite high, or some driver getting stuck in the gravel trap, for example. And you got a bit of a, yeah, that was a close one there between, who was that? That was Tsunoda? Yeah, a close one between Tsunoda and a little bit of a lockup as he went in towards turn number 11. So that's what I'm saying, right? There's always a bit of a chance for a safety car, which Oscar could have benefited from if he continued to stay out. But yeah, Alex Albon also is pitted after 24 laps on the hard tyres, just seemingly not liking them too much, and he's going on for another set of hards to the end of the race. Okay. Was Lewis staying out so long a bad idea? I mean, not really. Has he lost any positions? No. Has he gained his gap to Charles? As the gap, yeah, the gap's a lot bigger. But at the end of the day, I don't think Hamilton really had the pace to compete with Charles Leclerc this weekend. Yeah, Charles has been doing pretty good. But we'll see, right? There's still 45 laps left of this race. A lot more can happen. But yeah, Charles Leclerc currently, of course, holds the fastest lap of the race. Yeah, the battle for 10th position is pretty hot, actually. Let's watch this, actually. So we've got Hulkenberg leading the way. Sorry, we've got Sainz leading the way, then Hulkenberg, then Lindblad, then Gasly, Tsunoda, Bortoletto. You've got a big old DRS train here as we go down the straight. And look at these top speeds here. You've got 345 kilometers per hour briefly for the Alpine. The Alpine is a rocket ship in a straight line. Franco Colapinto there in last position has been... Yeah, Franco Colapinto is actually in last, actually. Did not realise that, but... Yeah, what I was going to say, the Alpine is the quickest in a straight line. If you look at the speed traps, at least during qualifying and stuff, they were the fastest through the speed traps. Tsunoda getting ahead of Gasly. What a move from him, mate. Going through turn number 8. Incredible move. Just to the inside line, and Gasly's not really expecting it. Very similar to the move that we saw from Piastri and Russell at the opening stages of this race. But yeah, Tsunoda still got it, mate. Tsunoda still got it. P12 for him, and he's about 3/10 back from Lindblad. Okay, Lando Norris gets within overtake range. Yeah, because Antonelli's encountering traffic now. That's the thing. Antonelli is encountering traffic in the form of Franco Colapinto, and now Norris is like, oh, it's time to maybe mount a little attack. Hulkenberg gets ahead of Carlos Sainz in towards turn number 1. Very nice job there from him. And we've got Lewis Hamilton now with the fastest lap of the race here. So it seems like he has got the pace to battle with Charles Leclerc. And I was incorrect a little bit earlier on. And he's gone, 2/10 quicker, half a second quicker on the previous lap. 2/10 quicker than Leclerc's personal best. We've got Valtteri Bottas into the pits. And yeah, so the only drivers yet to come in for a pit stop are Fernando Alonso, who's done 26 laps on a set of softs, and Carlos Sainz also 26 laps on a set of softs. Yuki Tsunoda gets ahead of Lindblad as well. This guy is unstoppable, man. What is going on here with Tsunoda? He really wants that 1 point to his name. And next up is Carlos Sainz on his overtake list. Let's see what Tsunoda can do. Of course, you've got to keep in mind, Tsunoda has not driven a 2026 car in real life, but he has done the simulator work. He does know how the battery system reacts. He has also done the simulator work with the Red Bull team, which has got the same power unit as the Racing Bulls team. So he knows, he will have spent a lot of time in the simulator. He may know a few tricks here or there about how to ensure that the battery will deploy when he wants it to and such. So, yeah, Tsunoda's doing a very, very nice job. And here comes Yuki Tsunoda against Carlos Sainz in towards turn number 1. Yuki Tsunoda says thank you very much. Up to P10. Really great job there by Yuki Tsunoda, I've got to say. Yeah, I mean, I wish they'd show this on the TV broadcast, but Tsunoda's up to 10th. Get this man back in Formula 1, mate. Get this man back in Formula 1. He's the Japanese driver. Honda is powering the Aston Martin car. So Lance Stroll out, Yuki Tsunoda in. It's got to be done. Yuki Tsunoda has got to be driver of the day so far. It's got my opinion, driver of the day, Yuki Tsunoda. Alright, and it is a purple first sector there for Antonelli, so he has cleared the traffic of Colapinto. He's like, right, time to get a bit of a move on here. Don't want to let Norris get too close, and he is he's trying to extend that gap out again. Okay. And Yuki in a net P8. Well, no, if Alonso pits, then he gets pushed up one more position. If Sainz pits, then of course nothing happens. So Carlos Sainz does dive into the pit lane, and he's coming out in, what's that going to be? Behind Stroll as well, actually. Oh, not great. Yeah, not great there for Sainz. He comes out in 17th, exactly where he started the race at. And yeah, Fernando Alonso currently is up 10 positions, but if you add in the 18-second pit stop, then he comes out in 15th, just ahead of Stroll. So, yeah. Keep that in mind. He'll drop down just like Sainz did. Can Alonso go all the way on a set of softs? No. And he's also not allowed to do that. He's got to change onto a set of mediums or hards as well. Right. What else is going on up at the front? Big gap there between Norris and Russell, actually. You've got about a 7-second gap, 7.5 second gap. Leclerc starting to apply some more pressure here to Piastri, very reminiscent of what we saw in the sprint race with Leclerc applying pressure to Lando Norris. So we knew as the tyres would wear out more and more, then Lando Norris's tyres wore out and Leclerc made the move. And it's a similar story again today. We've got Piastri out on the hards, Leclerc out on the medium, so again a step softer for Leclerc, but yeah, he's going to continue applying the pressure. We'll see if he can mount an attack on Piastri. He comes out of the final corner here. He's got the overtake. He's got the front wing dropped, rear wing dropped. His overspeed is approximately 15 kilometers per hour in towards turn number 1, but yeah, just not enough really to mount a proper attack on the McLaren. Because Piastri is, he's just not really biting the bullet. If he went defensive, then it would be pretty problematic, and then Charles Leclerc would have an opportunity. But Piastri knows that he's going to brake as late as he possibly can. Leclerc cannot physically brake that much later, and he's going to hold this normal racing line. So Piastri's doing a good job there. Okay. And we've got track temperature falling as well, 31 degrees Celsius track temperature. Air temperature still at 19 degrees, but yeah, track temperature falling, so tyre wear also going down a bit. Yeah, we got a bit of traffic here, haven't we? Piastri getting held up by, who is that? One of the Alpines, Franco Colapinto there. Yeah. And again, on this occasion, Leclerc's closer. Leclerc's 20 kilometers per hour quicker, but yeah, again, it's not getting done, really. It's not getting done. Piastri's... Oh, no, it's not. It is getting done. Round the outside he goes. Charles Leclerc pulls off a switchback on Oscar Piastri, and yeah, really, really good move there, actually. I didn't think that was getting completed, but clearly I was mistaken. Very nice. 4th position for Charles Leclerc. And he's on those medium tyres as well, so he's obviously used the advantage of the quicker tyres, so to pull off that move around the outside, the additional bit of grip needed, he got that from the mediums, and then says thank you very much to Piastri. So... And now Hamilton here trying to get past Piastri, actually. So the McLaren's really struggling on the tyres, and you've got a bit of a slide there from Piastri, and you can see that his lights also flashing on his car, which means that he's recharging. So his battery's also a little bit low as well. And well, let's see what Hamilton can do as they come now onto the start-finish straight. You've got let's see how much overspeed Hamilton gets. You've got Oscar Piastri up to 3:15, Lewis Hamilton up to 3:45, and then, yeah, there you go. He's got that move done in towards turn number 1. Will Piastri really be able to defend much against that? Not really. And Hamilton takes the move to the inside and says thank you very much. P3 is heading by, unless Piastri tries something in towards P3, but yeah, into turn 3, but no, he doesn't really. So... will he try into turn... Wait, is he going to try a move into turn 7 again? Oscar Piastri's getting dangerously close here. But to turn 7 or turn 8, no, he backs out of that one. He isn't pulling a move off on Lewis Hamilton like that. You might be able to pull off a move on George Russell through that corner, but Lewis knows how to defend into those, yeah. All right, Fernando Alonso into the pit lane, currently in 9th position, and he is getting, I suppose he's going to lose quite a few positions here as we've got a lot more people coming past. Bortoleto also dives into the pit lane, actually. And Fernando Alonso is slowly emerging, and he comes out just ahead of Ocon, actually. Nicely done. So 13th position. Seems like my calculations were slightly off, actually. Thanks for the donation. The $2 donation there, buddy. And we're starting to get a lot more lap traffic, as you guys can see. Of course, quite the short circuit as well. So the shorter the circuit, the quicker the drivers get lapped around and stuff like that. So, yeah. Yeah, Piastri having a bit of a nightmare. I mean, on the previous lap, he did a 1 minute 19, but I think that's partially down to the traffic and the defending against Lewis and such. But yeah, things aren't going great really for Oscar Piastri, and yeah, his tire strategy also from McLaren probably it wasn't the greatest. Yeah, Piastri versus Science. Yeah, there's a bit of history, no, from what's it called, Hungary. All right. But the only battle that we've currently got brewing is Fernando Alonso and Alex Albon. These are the only two drivers that are within 1 second of each other, and they're both out on relatively fresh sets of hard tyres. Lance Stroll dives into the pits. That is him 20 laps on the hards and he's had enough. And he's switching out onto, let's see what tyres. Another set of hards. Surprise, surprise. Alright. Piastri got car trouble, question mark. I don't know. It's hard to tell, really. I mean, on the previous lap, he's about a tenth quicker than Norris on the previous lap. So, yeah, I don't know. But they're all making their way through traffic, so it just makes it so hard to compare and stuff like that. Yeah. And Albon and Alonso continuing to battle here, actually. Albon just hanging on as he goes through turn number 11. And you can see them in the background of the shot, which they're still incessant on showing Lando Norris driving around instead of the battle behind them. Because this is great TV direction, as always. But, yeah, Lindblad into the pits. And then you've got Fernando Alonso trying to mount a move here on Alex Albon as they go through turns number 1 and 2. What have we got going on there? And Albon's still defending nicely, actually. Alonso not been able to find a way past. And Norris now within 8 tenths of Antonelli. Norris is what most UK viewers are tuning in for, hence the footage focusing on him. Yeah, to be honest, it's not really even Norris is focusing for the UK viewers. It's more so people just care about the people at the top of the field rather than the midfield. So that's why they focus on the top. But yeah, the TV directors also, they're broadcasting all around the world. It's not just for the UK. But yeah, they just focus on the top teams because that's what's interesting. You know, I also do the same, right? When was the last time I mentioned the Cadillacs? They are in 19th and 20th position. They are a lap down. There's not much else really to comment. It might as well just be a free practice session for them. But yeah, Albon again defending against Alonso in towards turn number 1, and Alonso seems to have found a way past, actually. So Alonso up into P11. Will he be able to hang it on to it as they go through turn number 3? Yes, he will. Fernando Alonso up into 11th position. Yuki Tsunoda also in 9th place, looking to score some points, so that is great. All right. And Norris is getting closer and closer here to Antonelli within 8 tenths. But yeah, the main overtaking opportunity, of course, is just the overspeed out of turn number 14. So let's see. Leclerc now aiming at Russell. Yeah, he is. Again, more traffic upcoming as well, so that's part of the issue. There's Albon and Alonso in the form of traffic, which is helping Leclerc catch up. Looks like a Kimi and Lando show. It does. There is that being said, you know, we're 40 laps in, and the gap between Kimi and George is, 10 seconds? So on average, what's that? That is 2.5 tenths, a quarter of a second per... Yeah, a quarter of a second per lap. Antonelli is quicker than George Russell on average. It's pretty incredible, I've got to say, for Kimi Antonelli. 2 years in the sport. Okay. Yeah, we're on lap number 40 of 72, so we've still got 33 laps remaining. It might be a little bit tough there for Charles Leclerc to make it to the end. But let's see. Of course, he spent quite a big not quite a big portion, pretty much all of the sprint race yesterday in dirty air and traffic, and not traffic, sorry, but just in dirty air, and still managed to make it to the end on softs. So he should be able to do it, but yeah, just a bit more management required. And then again, he's also tried to make this move on Russell as quickly as possible, because right now his mediums are still slightly quicker than the hards, but as the tyre wear progresses and the degradation gets worse, you realise that the mediums are slower and slower compared to the hards. And Lando Norris gets up into P1 as Kimi Antonelli dives into the pits. What? Okay, I mean, 32 laps remaining, so fair enough that you're coming in for a pit stop. Russell also in for a pit stop. Double stop here for the two Mercedes drivers, and Charles Leclerc and Hamilton up into second and third position. Thanks there for the donation. Russell, Leclerc, Hamilton battle for P3. Well, it's been quickly mixed up actually, hasn't it? But are they coming out in clean air? Antonelli comes out with traffic ahead of him, and Russell also comes out with traffic ahead of him. Okay, they're out now on a set of hard tyres. We know that Zandvoort is one of the hardest circuits to overtake around. We've got 32 laps remaining, and Antonelli has got to close an 18-second gap to Lando Norris and also overtake the two Ferrari cars, considering if the two Ferrari cars don't pit, of course. But yeah, what? The interval, the circle here is the gap is closing, and then the solid green is that it's within 1 second for the overtake. So you can see that Ocon within overtake and Hamilton within overtake, and these gaps are just closing up. Yeah, Lewis caught up actually. So pretty good going there from Lewis. He's on hard tyres, whereas Leclerc's on mediums. Leclerc, of course, stuck behind George Russell for a bit as well, and Hamilton has rolled onto the scene. And I'm sure he's going to be asking over the radio, like, oh, please let me by, I'm a quicker driver. I'm quicker than Charles, my tyres are better. Oh, yeah. When have I heard that one before? We've always heard that from all of the drivers, really. We'll see what Ferrari have to say. And that being said, you know, this is probably true, actually, that Hamilton is quicker. On the previous lap, he was 7/10 faster. So, yeah. Okay, 31 laps left of this race, and this has got a whole lot more exciting, actually, because we're now going to have Antonelli and Russell that are on the two-stop strategy, and the rest of the drivers that are on the one-stop, and we'll see how this plays out then. What are they saying to Charles Leclerc on the radio? Leclerc will be like, "Oh, let's not hold ourselves up for a potentially better result." That's what Lewis Hamilton says over the radio. Charles Leclerc has been told to box. Wait, are they just boxing Charles to get him out of the way? They tell him to box, but Leclerc doesn't actually come into the pit lane. Interesting. It's almost like painted the wrong strips on the tyres. The softs are going for super long. Yeah, I mean the drivers are pretty good at managing them. You know, Hulkenberg's done 22 laps now on his set of soft tyres, and it seems like he could put on a set of mediums and go to the end. Russell purple in the final sector. Antonelli, oh my god, Antonelli, a 1:15.7. That was 1 full second faster than Hamilton on the previous lap. Okay, honestly, I think what they should do, if Ferrari actually want to hold on to second and third, then they should work together and just defend against Antonelli, because we know that you can overtake. If there's just one car there, you can actually pull off an overtake. It's doable with the right setup and the right battery and all of that. You can make an overtake down the straight. But if the two Ferraris are working together, Antonelli is not finding a way past. Like, I get that he's a second faster, but I don't think that Antonelli will be able to find a way if both of them are defending and they're working together. So, yeah, if Ferrari want a 2-3, that's probably the best way to go about it. Thanks for the donation here, buddy. Scott Nash. Did anyone notice yesterday's Davis Coulthard was able to sneak in the word cunning linguist into the Q2 broadcast? I was dying. No, I oh, Charles Leclerc into the pits. Right. No, I did not notice that. But thank you for the donation there, buddy. Maybe I should sneak cunning linguist into the stream. Anyway, George Russell fast lap of the race, 1:15.4. Thanks for the donation there, buddy. Can you do a recap just joining? Max Verstappen crashed at the start of the race, caused a red flag because the barrier was damaged, and then we had some shenanigans, DNF from Behrman because his car broke on the formation lap, and since then we have had a pretty standard Dutch Grand Prix. We've got a few drivers going here for a two-stop. Antonelli, Russell going for a two-stop. Leclerc also going for a two-stop. Norris, Piastri and Hamilton at least currently on the one-stop strategy. We'll see what they do. Yes, Sonoda's made some good progress up the field. what else is there? I think that's about it. And you should definitely watch the replays of that crash from Max Verstappen, because there were some insane dodges. Nico Hulkenberg dodged Gabriel Bortoleto by a few millimeters. Bortoleto did a 360 on a banked corner. So yeah, I'd recommend watching that. I'm surprised they didn't double stack for no reason. No. We got the McLaren garage coming out into the pits. They're telling Piastri to come into the pits again. Okay, Piastri's into the pits again now for a set of soft tyres. Right. Interesting. Where's that going to put him then? Behind Charles Leclerc, eh? Mate, McLaren and their strategy, man. Honestly. I don't know. To be fair, nobody has actually done upwards of 30 laps on a set of tyres. Oh, you've got, Lindblad has done 31 laps on a set of mediums, but nobody's actually done a huge number of laps here. I don't know what's going on with the tyres, but seemingly people are just not being able to drag them out for endless number of laps. They've put Piastri behind Lawson. I mean, he's on fresh tyres, so he'll make that overtake relatively quickly, but yeah. Alonso on soft. Oh yeah, Alonso did 32 laps, on softs. But yeah, nobody's done a large number of laps on hard so far. Yeah, of course. Okay, like there's still 27 laps left, so let's see. Tsunoda dives into the pit lane actually, so it seems like we are going to get a two-stopper. Alright, thank you everyone for tuning in. By the way, we've got 27,000 people tuned in. Much appreciated. Hope you are enjoying the coverage, folks. I will be broadcasting in 2 weeks' time in Monza. That's when we'll be having our next Formula 1 race. So hopefully you guys can tune in to that one. Is Alonso in the points? Alonso is in the points, and honestly, I think Alonso will try to go to the end of the race. Like, the fact that he pulled off 32 laps on a set of soft tyres makes me think that he will be able to go 37 laps on a set of hards, despite nobody else being actually going that long. So, Fernando Alonso might score some points. Let's go! Alright, let's see. One stop, two stop. Meanwhile, Piastri's in a 5-stop race. I don't know what's going on really with McLaren and their strategy department. But look at that previous lap there. You got Charles Leclerc a 1:15.4. That's half a second quicker than Russell. That's 3 tenths quicker than Antonelli. And never mind, because Russell's just gone 3 milliseconds faster there. Seems like they're having a bit of a fastest lap competition. Charles Leclerc just makes the overtake here. He got purple in the final sector because he got a bit of a slipstream there off Bortoleto. And you've got Norris out in the front with a 14-second lead over Kimi Antonelli. But on the previous lap, Antonelli was 1 full second faster. So it's a matter of time now. It's a matter of time before Kimi Antonelli catches up to Lando Norris. We've got Stroll and Colapinto diving into the pits on the same lap here, lap number 47 of 72. Right. And Lando Norris diving into the pits as well. Seems like he's not even going to try for the one stop. And where is he going to come out then? I think just behind Antonelli. Let's have a look. Yeah, well, not just behind Antonelli. He's behind Antonelli, but ahead of Russell. So that's all that mattered, I guess, to McLaren, and they've settled for the P2, and are not interested in fighting for the P1. Okay, well, way to make it boring there, McLaren. You could have at least tried to win the race, but it seems like you're settling for a P2. You've got Charles Leclerc again on the fast lap of the race. There are 1:14.9 from him, and he'll be trying to chase down George Russell. We'll see if that can work. And Lewis Hamilton currently, if he does come into the pits, he will come out just behind Charles Leclerc, depending on the speed of the pit stop, of course. Seems like Stroll's retired from the race. Yeah. So Stroll is out of the Grand Prix. I wouldn't be too surprised if he comes back out, for a cheeky little bit of free practice 4. But yeah, we'll see. Okay. Frenchy4185, thanks for the donation. Third race where Verstappen starts P7 and DNFs. Oh, really? That is interesting. I did not know that stat existed, but there you go. Liam Lawson's been told Strat 9. Let's keep an eye on his lap times. Let's see what he's been up to. On the previous lap, he just came in for a fresh set of medium tyres, so that is him in 7th position, cemented in 7th position because Hulkenberg is behind on a set of very old soft tyres, and Piastri's ahead, 25 seconds ahead, so not really much of a battle going on there. Since the fuel load is lighter, Sonoda being on softs might work out. Yeah, oh no, definitely could. Given the fact that, well, this would have been the similar fuel load to what we would have had in the sprint race, right? The sprint race was 24 laps, so they would have had the exact same fuel load, and Charles Leclerc managed to pull off 24 laps on the softs in the sprint race, so yeah, it could be done by Sonoda, definitely. I think a safety car for a couple of laps will probably help, but I think Sonoda will probably be able to get it to the end. And Hulkenberg there does dive into the pit lane, so where will he emerge? Will he come out ahead of Alonso? Yeah, I think he will. Lando Norris, fastest lap of the race there. Yeah, oh my god, a 114.3. That is incredible. Alright, what's Hamilton saying here over the radio? He is 23 laps left of this race. He's on a set of hard tyres. And on the previous lap, Antonelli goes how much faster? That is half a second or so. What's Hamilton going to try and do here? Is he just going to try and defend? Because honestly, that would be quite fun. For 23 laps, Hamilton defending against Kimi Antonelli. I don't think it will last all that long. Antonelli's got a pretty quick car, but let's see. Yeah, Lewis is on some pretty old tyres, 24 lap old tyres, and going to the end will be a bit of a stretch. It could be done, obviously. Yeah, let's see. Liam Lawson, personal best time there with a fresh set of tyres, and what else? Sonoda up into the points again. Yeah, Sonoda versus Gasly actually there for 10th position. Gasly trying to take away that point, and he's got an extra 20 kilometers per hour of overspeed as they enter towards the braking zone of turn number 1, but yeah, not enough to actually make a move. Alright, and that's Lindblad up into 13th as Alex Albon comes into the pit lane. Do you think Russell can get P3? Well, most likely what's going to happen is Hamilton will pit. And as a result, yeah, Russell will get P3. If they're forced to battle for it, like if Hamilton's going to defend right till the last lap, I think Russell will actually not get it because Hamilton will try and extend out these battles as long as he... Because the other thing, Hamilton knows that if he holds up Antonelli just enough, then Norris is going to approach, and then they're going to start fighting amongst themselves, and... yeah. Antonelli's being told to take a wider line through turn number 10, and he says, I haven't got enough rear grip. So Antonelli's struggling a little bit here, and Lando Norris is fast approaching. Is Antonelli set for P1? Not really. I mean, there's Norris that could take it. There's Hamilton that could take it. Hamilton a little bit more unlikely, but let's see. All right, there's in the form of traffic, there's just Bottas, and then for a long, long way, there's not much. So once Bottas once these guys clear Bottas, then it should be plain sailing for the majority of the rest of the race. Piastri's been told, we believe Hamilton may try to go to the end of the race, and we believe there may be an opportunity. Brother, are you telling this? You're telling this to the wrong guy, mate. Piastri is 27 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. Or how is there going to be an opportunity at the end of the race? I don't know. Unless they're talking about Hamilton pits right at the end because his tyres go off, and then Piastri have opportunities to overtake there. But yeah, mate, these McLaren engineers, honestly, I don't know what they're doing with Oscar Piastri because it's yeah. Anyway, Lando Norris is battling away here with Kimi Antonelli, and let's see how it goes. But Norris is really pushing Antonelli here. We know that Antonelli's already struggling with his tyres, and it seems like Norris is also trying to maybe tell the race control about track limits. I think he's trying to say that Antonelli is breaking track limits. You can just see there on the bottom right of the screen, he said, and out of turn 13. So he's probably referring to the fact that, maybe Antonelli is using too much of the track. All right, well, here we go, folks. This is a three-way fight for first position, and we have got the top three within 3/4 of a second of each other. Let's go. We are so back. In towards turn number one they go. Lewis Hamilton leads the way at 323 kilometers per hour. Antonelli at 350 kilometers per hour in that Mercedes. And Lando Norris tries it in towards turn number two. Antonelli's exit is not great because his tyres, he just hasn't got enough rear end. And Lando Norris swoops around the outside, takes P2 off Kimi Antonelli. And that is, that's the experience of Lando Norris showing through. And Lewis Hamilton now under mountains of pressure here. He's got a papaya in one mirror, a Mercedes in the other mirror, and he's got to be extremely careful as he heads now towards turn number 9 and 10. Here we go. Hamilton, there's of course a bit of a straight section after turn number 10, so his traction has got to be incredible. Hamilton actually during qualifying was the slowest driver down this straight apart from the Aston Martins. So let's see what he can do here. Lando Norris gets onto the power, the speed is increasing, and Norris breezes past Lewis Hamilton in towards the braking zone. The gap already is extending out as they go through turns number 11 and 12, and Lando Norris takes P1. Lando Norris might be continuing on the record that the driver that has got pole position here in Zandvoort will continue on to go and win the race. Oh, yellow flag. That's Ocon. Ocon at turn 3 has stopped. Behrman had a mechanical issue earlier on. We've now got a safety car here. I don't know if it's a safety car or not, but there's a car stopped on the circuit. We'll see where he's parked the car up. But what's going on here? And Hamilton loses the position out to Antonelli as well. So yeah, he's just stopped. They're just saying it's a yellow flag and there's a hazard on the track, but where has he stopped exactly? Oh, we've got a VSC deployed. Now it's a perfect time to come into the pits. See, this is what I was saying with Piastri's strategy, right? He was out on the hard tyres. He could have just waited till lap number 55 and then come into pit during a safety car, and then it would have all been fine and dandy, and he would have been up in like P3 or something. But yeah, I mean, you can go back to like lap number 12 or whenever it was that Piastri came into the pits, and I was saying that you should have waited till lap 50. There would have been a safety car. Mate, get me on that strategy team, mate. Get me on that strategy team. Let's have a look at who's coming into the pits, who's not. Hamilton, of course, on very, very used tyres, so this will be an ideal opportunity for him to come into the pits, get a cheap pit stop, not lose 18 seconds, and he will actually come out... Where will he come out? He'll come out ahead of Charles, I think. Yeah. Oh, no, actually, no. He's going to come out behind Charles, but only by 2 seconds. Yeah. Only by 2 seconds. So the margins are going to be quite close. Let's see. Is Hamilton coming into the pits? Yes, he is. Kimi Antonelli asking what he's going to do if the safety car converts to a full safety car. Oh, Charles Leclerc also into the pit lane. Interesting. Okay. So I guess they're going for softs to the end of the race here. Yeah, Hamilton's out on a set of softs, and they're double stacking. No time lost there for Charles. A little bit of a lockup as he was entering into the pit box, but get the car stopped anyway. 3.3 second stop there for Charles. Okay. And the Ferraris emerge in 4th and 5th position. Piastri also into the pits as well. Why is Charles pitting? You might as well get a free set of tyres, you know, like free set of softs to go to the end of the race. It's not costing him any positions, so you might as well. You're going to definitely gain more back in 17 laps of soft tyres rather than staying out on such old hards. So, yeah. F1 Gamer, we can't get you on the strategy team. We need you here. Yeah. Now we'll see. Okay. 17 laps left, and we've got so much of the drivers' grid. Actually, we've got 18 drivers still driving, and 10 out of the 18 have already been lapped. Lawson is not under threat of being lapped, actually. Yeah. They're quite far away, Norris and Lawson on the circuit. But you have got Norris. I think that was him complaining a little bit about traffic and stuff. So still, the VSC taking a while here. Actually, you got Marshall's on the track at turn number 3. That's the reason for it. Esteban Ocon stopped at the side of the circuit. Tough day for Haas. Yeah, both retired. So double DNF for those guys. Don't know what's up with Stroll as well, but that would have been a mechanical issue, I suspect. And that was a Honda upgrade that they had, right? They'd brought an upgrade, supposedly. Well, not supposedly. They brought an upgrade wanting more horsepower. They may have got more horsepower, but they've also now got reliability problems as well. That being said, they also had reliability problems before, so. Okay. VSC is ending, and we've got George Russell now activating Strat 7. Oh, Antonelli came into the pit. Sorry, I've totally missed this. Antonelli into the pits. It's P3, Russell P2. So they are essentially saying that Antonelli will be coming into the, well, he's out on the softs, and they think within the next 16 laps he'll be able to overtake George Russell. We're going to have an inter-Mercedes battle here. They've set this up themselves, and let's see how it goes. They also reckon, I guess, they could overtake Lando Norris. So in 15 laps time, so final lap of the race, Lando Norris' tyres will be 25 laps old hard tyres, and Antonelli's tyres will be 19 lap old soft tyres. And they think that Antonelli will be able to make the move on Norris. Let's see. Yeah. Kimi did pit for softs. Yeah, I did miss that. I was paying attention to something else. So Russell is still in P2. Top 3 are in the same positions that they started the race out in 58 laps ago. Alright, nearly 30,000 people tune into live stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope you're all enjoying the coverage. Ferrari P3 possible, especially with Leclerc, question mark. I don't know. Really. Yeah, it's hard to say. We'll have to see. Right, we'll get the first round of lap times coming through after the safety car, and then we'll get an idea of what pace everyone's got. Russell has been told, just think about working as a team here. If Kimi's out of the fight, A firm. Okay. So Russell is, well, we're getting some interesting team radio messages. Let's just put it this way. Kimi Antonelli comes across the line at 1 minute 14.7 from him. Lewis Hamilton comes across the line 7/10 slower at 1 minute 15.4. Charles Leclerc goes in as high as second faster than Lewis Hamilton, and it's a 1:14.4. So Hamilton a 1:15.4, Charles Leclerc 1:14.4, and looks like Leclerc's trying to chase down his teammate. The gap currently between the teammates is 5.6 seconds. The gap between Hamilton and Antonelli, 2.5 seconds. We've got Fernando Alonso in the points. Yuki Tsunoda has been dropped out of the points, actually. He's 1 second, or what's that, 1.8 seconds, sorry, back from Pierre Gasly, and unfortunately he's been dropped out of the points. But who would be my driver of the day? It's got to be Alonso, actually. Up 9 positions in an Aston Martin. It's got to be Alonso, I've got to say. He is my driver of the day. Oscar Piastri also with a 1 minute 14.5 actually, so he has also had quite a good lap there. So this is what the soft tyre is looking like, right? With 13 laps left worth of fuel, you've got the drivers in the 1 minute 14.4s, and Lando Norris there on the hards is doing a 1:14.7. So you haven't actually got that big of a margin between Norris and Antonelli, so it seems unlikely that Antonelli will be able to get P1. However, George Russell, his teammate, is lapping about a lap slower. So currently the gap 4.5 seconds. He will close that up within about 4 or 5 laps, and then he'll have 8 laps trying to overtake his teammate. Russell trying to get points. Russell trying to get P1 seems unlikely, to be honest, because his pace is just about 7/10 off what it needs to be to catch up to Lando Norris. He's 7/10 slower, so yeah. Old soft on Lewis's sabotage. He was better on mediums. Well, look, the thing is, Lewis probably would have been asked about whether he wants old soft or fresh mediums, and he would have been given the choice, and he wouldn't have fresh softs. There's in sprint weekends we have very limited sets of tires, and yeah, that will have been the freshest set of soft tires he had. So yeah. F1 Gamer, is this Ocon's only DNF this season? I don't actually know, but the Ferrari power unit has been relatively reliable. So interesting that both of the Haas cars have DNF'd in the same race after the summer break. There's no, they didn't bring any upgrades this weekend, so it's not like they brought a cooling package upgrade and both cars overheat and broke. So yeah, a bit strange actually that we've had both Haas cars break at the same race, and with relatively good Ferrari power unit reliability as well. Okay. Previous lap again, Hamilton a 1 minute 15.1 and Charles Leclerc a 1:14.2. So again, Leclerc 9/10 faster. So yeah, it's really closing up now. You can see that Leclerc's closing up on Hamilton, Hamilton closing up on Antonelli, Antonelli closing up on Russell. So they're all getting closer and closer. Okie dokes. Yeah. Also, folks, we have hit our like target. Fantastic. But yeah, if you are still enjoying the coverage, be sure to hit the like button. It does help out a lot. We've got an instant note today. Liam Lawson, yellow flag infringement, has been noted. Okay. Keep you guys posted on that one. But yeah, Liam Lawson's in 7th position. Even if he gets a drive-through penalty twice, he'll still come out ahead of Nico Hulkenberg. So it's not really much of an issue. All right. Can we see the driver standings? Yeah, give me a sec. Here we go. This is the driver standings. You can see that Russell will find himself up in 2nd position, the driver standings ahead of Lewis if the positions stay this way, and then Norris will go ahead of Leclerc because, well, Norris will be getting 25 points to his name and Leclerc 10. And then Lawson will also go ahead of Gasly, and you've got Nico Hulkenberg actually jumping up 3 places here if he scores 4 points here in 8th position. It looks good for him, to be fair. He's 4 seconds ahead of Alonso, and I don't think Alonso is posing much of a threat. To be fair, I say that, but on the previous lap, Alonso a second slower. Yeah, 1.2 seconds slower, so not much of a threat. F1 game was the multiple pit stop decision good stop? Was the multiple pit stop decision by Ferrari a good idea? Yeah, I mean, seems all right, really. Yeah, he's within 2.5 seconds. I think Hamilton now on the softs just hasn't got the. Oh no, on the previous lap, 1 minute into 1 minute 14s now. So they're all lapping very, very consistently, which is great that they're all lapping very quickly, but nobody's actually closing the gap there. I mean, Leclerc a tenth faster than Hamilton on the previous lap. Hamilton 2/10 faster than Antonelli on the previous lap. Still not enough really to bring those margins together. So, yeah, decent enough strategy by Ferrari. It's more so McLaren that have royally screwed over Piastri, because at one point in the race, Piastri was, on the circuit ahead of George Russell, and well, he's now down in sixth position while Russell's in second. So I'm not sure really. Not sure what's up with the McLaren. I'm sure they'll have their own debrief and stuff, but. Yeah, also if the points, if the drivers stay in this position, then we'll have 33 points for the Mercedes team, 22 points for the Ferrari team, 33 for the McLaren, and then just 6 for the Red Bull. F1 game, all the pit stops were told to Oscar before and he agreed to them. Yeah, I mean, even if Piastri agrees to the pit stops, that doesn't make it a good strategy. You know what I mean? Like, it's still Piastri doesn't have the full picture of who's going for what strategy and what the tyre wear is looking like and what the other drivers are saying over the radio. That's what the race engineers have. That's what the strategy team has. So, unless Oscar sees something alarmingly wrong with the decision to come into the pits, he's sort of trusting the team that the fact that they're going to put him on a good strategy. Yeah. The last pit stop was a wing adjustment. Yeah, could be, could be. Typically, the drivers don't really like. They just do a wing adjustment because they're in for the pit stops anyway. They don't force a pit stop for a wing adjustment. Valtteri Bottas has been told to retire the car, so that is retirement number 5 here for the Dutch Grand Prix. And Antonelli now within 1 second of George Russell. He's on those soft tyres. George Russell's on the hard tyres. Let's see how this goes down. 8 laps left of this race. The Silver Arrows will continue battling on this extremely narrow circuit with no margin for error. Russell's come over the radio saying, oh, we should think of this as a team game. And he's now over the radio again. What is he saying? Yeah, I mean, let's see. I'm sure they'll just be told, keep it clean, don't drive into each other, don't have a Barcelona 2016 moment. Let's see. Let's see how it goes. Out of turn number 13 and 14 they come. Kimi Antonelli is a foot flat to the floor, and his speed is rising up to 325 kilometers per hour, and that's about it. He's actually only 5-10 kilometers an hour. Oh, he's made that move on George Russell from that far back. Oh my god, he didn't have that much overspeed as well. And I was looking at and he's managed to go around George Russell. So seems like, oh wait, did Russell just back out of it? Oh, that's what he said over the radio, I think. I didn't hear the team radio broadcast, but looks like they've been told to invert positions. I thought that was Antonelli sending a diver on from so far back, but no, and Russell just left the door open. Thanks for the channel membership there, buddy. And we've got and it looks like now, wait, no way they're letting George Russell just hang out to the Ferrari drivers. If they've inverted the positions and there's no way that Antonelli is going to catch up to Lando Norris, then at least give Antonelli instructions to slow down to ensure that Russell doesn't get overtaken by Hamilton. I mean, this is not team play. Like, Russell was over the radio being like, at least ensure that we get a 2-3. So what's going on here? Is Hamilton going to get past? Yeah, I mean, Russell's moved out of the way, but I mean, that's fair enough, right? Antonelli's on a different strategy, but from a team perspective, they should at least focus on maintaining a 2-3 and rather than giving Ferrari a podium. And Hamilton's now getting very, very close here, and Russell has got no slipstream off his teammate to defend. So, yeah, let's see what Lewis Hamilton does then. Seems like Toto Wolff forgot that Lewis Hamilton left Ferrari and is no longer a Mercedes driver. Left for Ferrari, yeah. All right, 6 laps after this race here then, folks. 6 laps left. And Hamilton is very close here to George Russell in towards turn number 11. He does have not a lot of overspeed, actually. He's getting onto the brakes slightly earlier. It seems like he's trying to build out the perfect sort of gap so he can get a slingshot on out the exit at turn number 13 and 14. So let's see. Thanks for the donation. Will Monza be like Spa in terms of deployment? Most certainly, yeah. Monza is going to be terrible for the battery situation, and yeah, I'll probably have a video about how terrible it is. But yeah, it's not going to be pretty. And thanks for the donation there, buddy. Yeah. All right, Hamilton now trying again in towards turn number 2 and 3, and yeah, you can't really find a way past there. What's going on with Alonso and Gasly? They're just battling away, really. I haven't seen much of the... Oh, Franco Colapinto has been given a 10-second time penalty for a yellow flag infringement. So, I mentioned that a little bit earlier on. So he's been given a 10-second time penalty. I mean, he's in 14th position. Doesn't really matter, but yeah. Carlos Sainz comes into the pits for a set of soft tyres. Okay. Looks like some more testing for the Williams team. Oh no, they said we will check the car when we box. So it seems like there must have been something wrong with the car, and they just wanted to come in to check what was wrong. Can Lando still win the World Driver Championship? Well, mathematically, yes. So we'll see how it goes. We're on lap number 69 of 72. Very nice indeed. And yeah, Russell still hanging on against Lewis Hamilton here. He's doing a very, very good job. And Anthony's over the radio saying there's something wrong with the car. It's like aero degradation. And Bono comes over the radio saying there's nothing in the data. So we'll see. I don't know if, what Anthony is exactly talking about, because on the previous lap he's 0.6 faster than George Russell. But yeah, Russell really putting his car in the right place and is defending very, very well here. You can see the red light flashing on the back of his car as well to indicate that he is recharging his battery. We've also got a report of some slippery debris at turn number 6, so he's just got to watch out there for that as well. Okay, why is Russell so slow? It's because he's on hard tyres there. You can see 28 lap old hard tyres, and that's what's going on. Gasly and Alonso still continuing to battle here. Alonso would of course be getting 2 points if he finishes in 9th position, and only 1 point if he finishes in 10th. So let's see what Alonso can do. He's on much older, harder tyres compared to Gasly, but VSC is deployed. VSC is deployed just as Hamilton was trying to move there. It seems like the debris at turn number 6 that I mentioned just earlier is the cause of the VSC. And okay. Charles caught up here, and is this VSC going to end? Are we going to get track marshals? Okay, so it is track marshals on the circuit at turn 6. Yeah, there's debris at turn number 5 and 6, and that's why there's a VSC, and there's marshals there on the circuit going to pick stuff up there. 10-second time penalty for Lawson for a yellow flag infringement. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. He's 52 seconds ahead of Nico Hulkenberg. Oh my. Collision between the two Williams drivers. The two Williams drivers, both of these guys have just had their contract extended. They're currently right at the back of the pack, and they've just driven into each other. You can't make this stuff up, man. You can't make this stuff up. Yeah, incredible scenes, mate. Okay. 3 laps after this race, and VSC has ended, and you've now got Russell versus Hamilton versus Leclerc. It's a 3-way fight here for 3rd position. Battle is back on. The rain was just teasing us throughout the weekend. Yeah, it was. We had rain just at the end of the sprint race. We had rain just at the end of Q3, and we had a little bit of rain just at the start of the race, before the race actually. Yeah. Alonso still hanging on to P9 there, still hanging on to P9. Great job from Fernando Alonso. Right, and Hamilton is still trying to attack here. George is still trying to attack. Yeah, we love Fernando Alonso, don't we, mate? What a guy, what a guy. Dragging this Aston Martin up into 9th position. If Russell defends this, it'll be a masterclass. Yeah, honestly, he's defending without the assistance of his teammate. Like, what is Antonelli even doing? You know, up in 2nd position. Like, there's no need. He can drop back and help out his teammate, but yeah, Mercedes opting not to do that. And you've got both Ferrari teammates working together. Let's see, here we are then, folks. We are on the final lap of the race. Look, Russell has just got one more straight to defend because overtaking into turn 11, extremely tricky. So here they go. Mode boost for both of these cars. You've got Russell up to 325, Hamilton up to 350 in towards turn number 1, but it just isn't enough. George Russell defending, braking super late, and he's, Hamilton getting close here in towards turn number 3. Can he try something around the outside? Yeah, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And Russell hangs on to P3 by the finest of margins. He's just got turn number 11 and 12. That's the final overtaking opportunity remaining. And Leclerc, in fact, attacking Lewis Hamilton, and Leclerc acting to get position 4. Sorry. Here we go. All right, and yeah, let's just keep our eyes peeled here for George Russell, trying as much as possible. No wheel spin out of turn number 10 here. Just a smooth exit onto the straight, and Hamilton won't be able to get close enough. Hamilton cannot get close enough. We've got Lando Norris emerging out of the final corner. He got pole position. He wins the Dutch Grand Prix. Kimi Antonelli comes across the line in P2, and George Russell has done some really, really good driving here at the death of this race. On 31-lap-old hard tyres, defends against Ferraris with fresh softs, and he comes across the line for a very well-deserved P3. You've then got Lewis Hamilton in 4th position, Charles Leclerc in 5th position, half a second back, and then Oscar Piastri comes across the line in 6th position, very unfortunately screwed over by a bit of a dodgy McLaren strategy, I'd say. And then Liam Lawson, incredible drive done by him. First time jumping into a Red Bull car, and he delivers very close to Max Verstappen in qualifying by about, within a tenth or so of him. And then in today's race, doesn't DNF and finishes in 7th position, 52 seconds or 42 seconds ahead of Nico Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg in 8th position, and Fernando Alonso scores some points with the Aston Martin, 2 points to his name. He is my driver of the day, most certainly. And then you've got Pierre Gasly rounding out the top 10 with some Alpine points. All right, folks. So that has been the Dutch Grand Prix, folks. It has been quite the exciting race, to be honest. Went right down towards the end there, with George Russell defending quite nicely. And the pole sitter yet again continues on to win the Dutch Grand Prix. So that is what's that now? 6 years running. The pole sitter has gone on to win. And I think that is, I think that's it, really. I think that's it. We've had 6 DNFs throughout the race as well. Alex Albon retires after contact with his teammate. And, yeah. Let me pop the standings up onto the screen. Yeah, give me just a sec here, folks. There you go. There are the standings. You've got Alonso here with 2 points gained. But that is that. So in 2 weekends' time, we have got the Italian Grand Prix. Is it a Grand Slam from Lando? No. If you have to lead every single lap of the race to get a Grand Slam, and Lando Norris did not do that. So yeah. But in 2 weekends' time, we have got the Dutch Grand Prix. Oh, sorry, not the Dutch Grand Prix. The Italian Grand Prix at Monza. So I've just dropped a link for that in the stream chat. And that's about it, really. That's about it for the Dutch Grand Prix. It's been good fun commentating you guys. Apologies for a few mistakes here and there. I did realise that today I was mumbling and fumbling my words a little bit more than usual. Yeah, but we have Aston Martin on their way up here with Fernando Alonso. A few more upgrade packages, and they're going to be scoring some podiums, and yeah, and Russell and Hamilton, they're 183 points for both of them in second and third place. But Russell takes the second position because he's got more race wins than Hamilton has, and that's just how it goes. They told Antonelli to help, did they? Oh, they told Antonelli to help, and Antonelli just ignored him. So, well, I'm sure that will go down well in the debrief room afterwards when they have that discussion. But yeah, that's a discussion for the Mercedes team to have. So that is all from me, folks. It's been a great pleasure commentating to you guys this weekend after a bit of a break from Formula One. We'll be back in 2 weeks in Monza. Yeah, not a whole lot more to add, really. Have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, or night, depending on where you are around the world. And I shall see you in 2 weeks' time for the race in Monza. I'll be doing all of the free practice sessions, all of the quali and the race as well. So I shall see you then. The stream will end. It'll take you over to the race stream for Monza. If you could hit the like button in advance for that stream, it helps out the channel tremendously. But apart from that, there's not much else to add. So have a great day, folks, and I shall see you guys later. Bye bye.